Unknown place. A vast ocean stretched endlessly in every direction, its waters calm yet strangely unsettling. The sky above was an unnatural mix of gray and green, lacking clouds, sun, or moon, yet the world was not without light. Rising from both above and below the water were countless towering iron pillars, reaching upward and plunging into unseen depths. Among this forest of metal stood a gate, crafted from thinner bars. At its center, fastened to the iron, was a large sheet of paper bearing a single kanji. Seal. Ripples suddenly spread across the water, concentric waves radiating outward. Their source was behind the gate. An enormous creature sprawled lazily across the watery surface. The monstrous fox with 9 tails, the legendary Kyuubi, lay with its front paws crossed beneath its muzzle. One of its tails lazily swished, sending another ripple across the strange sea. Though the waters seemed bottomless, the beast's colossal body barely sank at all, as if the ocean floor rested just beneath its paws. Majestic yet caged, the fearsome fox yawned, revealing rows of glistening fangs. Its crimson eyes opened, scanning the endless horizon to the left, then to the right, before closing again with practiced boredom. Still nothing, day after day, the beast thought with a weary sigh. For 6 years now, this had been its reality, ever since it had been bound within the body of an infant, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The second surname, however, was a truth hidden from the world. Though not entirely the same, the fox admitted inwardly. In the first 3 years of its imprisonment, the mindscape had been nothing but a blinding white void, with only the oppressive bars and gate marking the seal. Then, gradually, the void shifted. The sky darkened to green-gray, and water began seeping in until it became this endless ocean. The transformation had mirrored the boy's state of mind. Compared to that blank void, this place almost seemed worse. "The brat's loneliness is shaping this world," the fox muttered, ears flicking in irritation. 3 companions at most, that's not enough to sustain a child. If it gets any worse, this place will end up looking like a sewer. The Kyuubi's grumbling was cut short by a faint disturbance, a subtle ripple far across the water. Its eyes snapped open, ears pricking. In this barren mindscape, no movement should exist save for its own. Curiosity stirred, even a trapped beast longed for change. There in the distance, a tiny black dot broke the horizon, inching closer. Not the boy, the fox realized immediately. I'd sense his presence. It narrowed its eyes, watching in silence. Slowly the shape grew larger until its features became clearer. The fox's brow furrowed in disbelief. A floating platform? No, it was a small vessel. A coffin-shaped boat glided across the water, driven by no wind or oars. A tall silver cross rose as its mast, draped in black sails. At either side burned 2 massive white candles, their flames flickering green instead of orange. Atop the boat's central block sat a man, posture regal yet relaxed, one leg crossed over the other, hands resting on his knee. A wide-brimmed black hat tilted forward, casting his face into shadow. Behind him, another cross stood tall, framing his presence like a monument. The Kyuubi stared as the boat coasted silently to a halt just yards before the gate. The silence thickened, broken only when the man raised his head. The fox stiffened. That gaze, it was sharper than Madara's, colder than the sage of 6 paths himself. His golden eyes resembled a hawk's, but with a piercing chill that cut deeper than steel. "Who are you, human?" rumbled the Kyuubi, narrowing its eyes at the stranger's black hair, short beard, and mustache. The man, perhaps in his 40s, regarded the beast calmly. His voice was even almost detached. "Dracul Mihawk, known as the greatest swordsman in the world." The title made the fox's ears twitch. Bold words. "I am the Kyuubi no Yoko, the strongest of the 9 Biju." Mihawk didn't so much as blink. His gaze slid toward the bars. "A cage, an unusual one. I've never seen anything like it, not even in my lifetime." The fox growled lowly, flicking a tail toward the vast ocean. "This is a seal. We stand inside a child's mind. I was bound to him moments after his birth. Yet this is the first time another soul has entered here. Your name means nothing to me, despite your claim." Mihawk's gaze drifted, lost in memory. "It must be centuries since my fall. In my last days, the Navy still commanded the seas. Of the 4 Yonko, only 2 remained. I myself was one of the final 3 Shichibukai." "Never heard of them," the fox replied with faint amusement. Perhaps you belong to an age before even my father, the sage of six paths. Tell me if you're dead, why linger here? Mihawk's eyes flicked toward the beast. You said this is the mind of a boy. The fox inclined its head. Yes, this realm reflects his emotions. The emptiness mirrors his life. The swordsman's expression didn't shift, but his words carried weight. I can feel it, the hollowness of this child. I've seen many dead eyes in my travels. His are no different. The fox studied him carefully. And my question, I cannot sense my whole soul, only fragments. One of them rests within this boy, it binds me here. The fox's tail twitched. A descendant, perhaps. His mother was a skilled swordswoman. Mihawk shook his head. No, I bore no children. He carries no blood of mine, only a shard of my essence. Aha, the Kyuubi grinned, fangs flashing. Reincarnation then, I know it well. My father's power carried into his sons, Indra and Asura. They too were reborn time and again, through Hashirama, Madura and beyond. Then so it must be, Mihawk muttered, gaze fixed on the gate. This boy is my reincarnation. Can I speak with him? The fox rumbled. Not yet, the kid has never come here on his own, he lacks the awareness. But tonight when he sleeps I'll bring him. Very well. I'll wait. With that, Mihawk folded his arms and without hesitation drifted into sleep upon his coffin boat. The Kyuubi stared, twitching an ear in disbelief. This man is supposed to be the world's greatest swordsman. That evening, Konoha streets, Naruto's day had been as miserable as any other, perhaps worse. Truthfully, none of his days could be called good. Each morning, he awoke with fragile hope, wishing today might be kinder than yesterday. Rarely were those prayers answered. A brief visit from the Hokage, or a free bowl of ramen at Ikaraku, were the closest he ever came to joy. And even then, hunger always returned. His life was emptiness, no family, no friends, no warmth. The villagers ignored him at best, scorned him at worst. For a time, during his early years in the orphanage, he hadn't understood. But the day the matron cast him out, everything changed. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the old Hokage he fondly called Jiji, had granted him a shabby apartment as shelter. At least he didn't starve completely. Jiji paid for the lights, water, and gas, though Naruto rarely used them, and offered him a small allowance. But the money never lasted. Prices at shops were outrageously inflated for him alone. More than once, expired food had been pushed into his hands, and he bore it silently. The one time he dared complain, a shopkeeper had chased him away swinging a bat, threatening worse if he returned. Outside, things were worse. He had no real friends. A few kids sometimes glanced his way, tempted to join him, but their parents hovered nearby and quickly steered them away. The grown-ups watched him with thinly veiled disgust, whispering behind gloved hands. He didn't understand half the insults, he was too young for the words, but he felt their sting just the same. He was alone. There were a handful of people who treated him with ordinary kindness, but they could be counted on one hand and still leave a finger free. Even those few couldn't be with him all the time. The Hokage had responsibilities, Ayame and Tuche couldn't leave their ramen stand unattended, and life moved on without making space for him. He dragged himself up the steps, pushing open his apartment door and ignoring the fresh graffiti splashed across it. He went straight to his bedroom. Today his limbs were heavier than usual. After another afternoon with no playmates, he'd tried to train by himself, practicing moves he'd seen, trying to get better for sparring at the academy. The academy was another wound. It had only been a few weeks since classes started, but already he understood the layout of his life. Teachers avoided eye contact. Classmates skirted around him like he carried a contagion. The only moments he could hope for a normal interaction were the spar matches, and even then he never got a fair shot. The instructor always paired him with the best, Uchiha Sasuke, or with kids desperate to make a name for themselves by beating him, like that boy with the dog in Yuzuka Kiba. He sighed, collapsed onto his bed, and sleep took him fast and shallow. He had no idea a great change was waiting, curled behind the soft places of his dream. Naruto's mindscape. He's here. A low voice rolled through his sleep and jerked him awake. Naruto came up choking on the sensation of water. Then he realized he was sinking, or maybe floating, in a strange, wet silence. Panic flared until a massive shadow resolved nearby. A nine-tailed fox, massive and sealed behind an invisible barrier. To think I'd find you here, and with a sliver of my own soul attached. A man's voice spoke to his left. When Naruto turned, he felt a cold shove of presence. A man with a long black sword strapped to his back, expression unreadable. Who are you? Naruto asked, voice small. The stranger stayed still. The fox smiled with an unsettling amusement. You'll love that look, the fox purred, savoring something private. Then its voice sobered. Name's Kyuubi no Yoko. Naruto's eyes widened in stunned recognition. The Kyuubi, but Jiji said that the Kyuubi was killed by the fourth Hokage. A nice story. The fox's tail flicked, emphasizing the point. I'm made of chakra, I don't die like people do. 6 years ago, I was released from my prison. The fourth Hokage sealed me again, but into a newborn. Into you. Naruto's knees felt weaker than they had any time before. Why put me inside, why me? The fox's tone was oddly clinical. Your mother belonged to the seal that once held me. The fourth made a choice, probably thinking his own child could bear the burden. You are Minato Namikaze's son, Uzumaki Kushina's child. They used you as a vessel. A dizzying swirl of questions clouded Naruto's head. So why do the villagers hate me? If I'm the Hokage's son, they should respect me. They don't see the difference, the fox said, curling two tails with a mocking air quote. They see a monster inside you. If they acknowledge the truth, they'd have to accept what it means. The fox's grin widened, almost sympathetic. Life isn't fair, kid. Consider me evidence. Before Naruto could answer, the fox motioned with a tail toward the silent swordsman. Naruto shivered again at that unblinking gaze. If the fox was terrifying, this man's presence was colder. Hello, boy, the swordsman said without preamble. I am Dracul Mihawk, once called the greatest swordsman. The name landed like a stone in still water. Naruto felt the pressure of it. You're dead. Then why are you here? He managed, curiosity now mixing with fear. Because a fragment of my soul rests in you, Mihawk replied flatly. If that's true, you'll someday reclaim what I once was. I'm here to ensure that happens. Naruto's imagination ignited. You mean I can become the greatest? Mihawk's face didn't change, but his voice carried an edge. Perhaps. The road won't be easy. You won't walk a ninja's path alone, you'll walk as a swordsman. It's a life carved by different rules, honor, steel, mastery. Do you accept it? Naruto thought of Hokage dreams and village respect, then of something else. Power that would let him protect the people he cared about. He straightened, trying to make his voice steady. I'll do it. I'll become the greatest swordsman and use that strength to protect those I love. Mihawk's calm didn't crack. People will hurt what you care about. They will try to break you by taking away what matters. No, Naruto said, louder than he meant to. That's another reason to become the greatest. If I'm strong enough, no one will be able to hurt them. Mihawk's expression flickered, almost unreadable, like a distant memory surfacing. He asked the question that mattered next. Are you prepared to die for that goal? Naruto's breath caught. The Kyuubi raised an eyebrow but remained silent. After the first hot rush of fear, Naruto nodded once. It was not bravado, just a fierce, stubborn honesty. Mihawk inclined his head and with a smooth, sudden motion drew his blade. The long black sword slid free and sent a chill through Naruto's spine. You may choose, Mihawk said. My strike can find your chest or your back. Will there be a scar? Naruto blurted out without thinking. Mihawk nodded. Memories of Jiji's stories surfaced, of swordsmen who met their foes face to face, unflinching. A scar on the back meant you had run. Naruto pictured himself with his head held high and shook his head. No, a swordsman stands his ground. For the first time since Mihawk had appeared, the swordsman's mouth tilted into something like approval. A single thought crossed Mihawk's mind. He'd seen that courage before in another green-haired swordsman long ago. Then he raised his blade high. Even the Kyuubi fell silent. Mihawk knew, as the fox did, how strange and dangerous such reincarnations could be. The blade came down in a violent arc, water roiling and parting for miles, and yet the strike stopped just an inch from hitting Naruto. You are my reincarnation, and this blade, Yaru, is yours as well, Mihawk said quietly, easing the sword into a reverse grip. It will never wound its master like that. You have heart, boy, but do not squander your life. There are always other ways to overcome what lies ahead. You must learn to find them. His face grew stern, the gravity of his words hanging in the space between them. My name is Dracul Mihawk. Discover who you are, discover the world. And grow stronger. No matter how long it takes, I will sit here as the greatest and wait for you. Surpass this sword. Try to surpass me, Uzumaki Naruto, Mihawk declared, lowering his massive blade. Now, take hold of Yoru's hilt and embrace the path before you. Naruto stood in silence, eyes shifting from the man to the sword. After a pause, he extended his hand, his fingers curling firmly around the hilt with unshaken resolve. The instant he gripped it, a brilliant surge of violet light burst outward, flooding the endless ocean around them. Even the Ninetales had to shield its eyes with a paw. The radiance lasted only moments, but when it faded, the scene had changed. Mihawk was gone. Yoru had vanished as well, yet Naruto remained different than before. The boy's frame had stretched taller, his body shedding its childish softness, replaced with the beginnings of lean muscle. His golden hair now swept backward, sideburns sharpened upward, while the whisker-like marks on his face stood out bolder than ever. Most striking were his eyes, hawk-like, piercing, the same yellow irises as Mihawk, carrying a cold sharpness that unsettled even the mighty fox. "How do you feel, Kit?" Kyuubi asked, still staring in surprise at the transformation. Naruto's lips curved faintly. "Better than ever, stronger than ever." His voice carried a calmness, his face now stern, almost carved like stone. He turned to the ocean around them. "Kyuubi, this is my mind, right?" "Yes, why?" the beast questioned, sensing a newfound sharpness in its host. "I think it's time for a change," Naruto replied, shutting his eyes. The Kyuubi's jaw dropped as the ocean split open, an island rising high in its place. The skies darkened into shades of black and violet, the iron bars of his prison dissolved, and within moments, a massive Gothic castle towered at the heart of the island. Around it stretched a dense forest, half hidden by purple mist, broken ruins scattered across the land. Though Naruto had never stepped foot there, the image of Kuregana Island was etched in his new memories, memories carried from Mihawk himself. "Can I ask you something?" A soft female voice spoke behind him. Naruto already knew who it was, even before turning. "What is it, Kyuubi?" "This place isn't bad," she admitted, her tone half amused. "Dark and brooding, but better than staring at endless water. What I want to know is, what the hell are these?" Naruto turned, his expression calm, to see the fox no longer a beast but a young woman in her 20s. Crimson curls framed her face, her matching red eyes locked on him. She wore a black Gothic Lolita dress with red boots, a wide-brimmed black hat, and clutched a red umbrella adorned with tiny horns and eyes. In her other arm rested a patched fox plush, its belly marked by the Shinigami's seal. Naruto studied her silently for a long moment, then muttered, "Clothes." "I can see that," she snapped. "But why these clothes, and why an umbrella? It's not even raining." "Yu-Gi-Oh!" The odd sound made her freeze. Slowly turning, she saw a group of towering mandrills, all staring at her. One casually picked up her umbrella and tossed it aside, mimicking her tantrum. What are those monkeys?" "Human drills," Naruto answered with a faint smile. "Mihawk lived alongside them here, and Perona, the girl who wore that style of dress." "So what, you're recreating his home?" Kurama asked, watching the beasts cackle and swing their weapons. "Something like that," Naruto admitted, eyes fixed on the looming castle. Fragments of Mihawk's life played in his mind, the calm isolation, the weight of mastery, the title of the world's strongest swordsman. Kurama glanced down at the outfit that clung to her form, lips twitching into a sly smirk. "Are you sure these were her clothes, or one of your little fantasies?" Naruto met her gaze evenly, noting how she leaned forward to emphasize her chest. His reply was flat. "They were hers." The foxwoman blinked deadpan. "I already miss his old personality." "By the way, Kyuubi, what should I call you?" Naruto asked, catching her off guard. "Kyuubi sounds more like a title than a name." "You're right," she admitted, walking past him toward the castle. "Kyuubi no Yoko is just a title. My real name isn't something I give away so easily." "I see. Then call me the future greatest swordsman in the world." Naruto's tone was calm but unwavering. She froze. "And why would I do that, Kit?" "Simple, a title for a title. You already know my name." Kurama glared at him, then exhaled in defeat. "Kurama, that's my name." Without another word, she strode toward the looming gates. "Kurama, I'll remember it." Naruto nodded, summoning a katana into his hand as the human drills advanced. A grin tugged at his lips. "Now then, let's shake the rust off this blade." Without hesitation, he charged, the beasts answering his challenge with roars. The next day, Hawkage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat slouched at his desk, glaring at the mountain of paperwork. Of all things, the Sandaime Hawkage, student of the first and second Hawkage, the professor, the so-called god of shinobi, should be doing, babysitting documents was his curse. New shopping center, kennel repairs, spa expansion. He skimmed the papers and promptly tore them in half. This is what a hidden village wastes its energy on. Some days I almost wish for another war, just to break this cycle. He stopped, massaging his temples. Good grief, I sound like Danzo. Hokage-sama, his secretary's voice crackled through the intercom, tense. Uzumaki Naruto is here to see you, should I let him in? Naruto, Hiruzen blinked. At this hour he should be at the academy. After a pause, he pressed the button. Send him in, I'll see him now. A knock soon followed, and Hiruzen called, Enter. The door opened, and the Hokage nearly stiffened. Hokage-sama, Naruto bowed politely before walking in with steady, measured steps. Hiruzen had to mask his shock. Naruto always addressed him as Jiji, never so formally. His posture, his aura, even the sharpness in his eyes, it was unlike anything the old man had seen. Those eyes, they reminded him of a hawk. Naruto-kun, Hiruzen asked, sensing his ANBU tense up in the shadows. Yes, Naruto answered, seating himself calmly. I've come to speak about something important. I hope I'm not disturbing your work. Hiruzen's gaze flicked to the pile of paperwork, then quickly back. Of course not, Naruto-kun, he said too quickly before his tone grew serious. But I must ask, what happened to you, especially your eyes? My changes, Naruto began evenly, are tied to what I came to discuss. But before I share anything, I want something in return, an exchange of information. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. His voice is the same, but everything else, sharper, more composed. Even his chakra feels different. This isn't normal academy growth. What information do you seek? The Hokage asked cautiously. Naruto's expression remained unreadable. I already have a good idea. I just want confirmation. Why was I never told that I am the son of Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage, and Uzumaki Kushina, the previous Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails? The room froze. How? Hiruzen stammered. The Kyuubi, Naruto said plainly. I confronted it in my mindscape last night. It told me everything, and with its help I unlocked my chakra this morning. For several long seconds, Hiruzen stared in silence. Then, with a subtle hand signal, the ANBU melted away, leaving the office empty. He weaved seals into the air, locking the room in privacy. All right, Naruto, I'll tell you the truth. But understand, I never did this out of cruelty. His voice was heavy with age. Yes, Minato and Kushina were your parents. If they were only ordinary shinobi who died in the attack, I would have told you without hesitation. But their names carried as much danger as honor. Your father especially, hated by Iwa for what he did in the war. You already know how the village treats you because of the Nine Tails. If I had revealed your heritage, yes, perhaps some shinobi might have protected you, but many more enemies would have hunted you. Iwa, Kumo, maybe even Kiri, they would never hesitate to assassinate a child. I get Iwa, thanks to Dad's reputation from the Third Shinobi World War, and the Kyuubi says Kumo even tried to abduct Mom, Naruto said, lifting an eyebrow when Hiruzen's smile turned awkward. But Kiri, why would they go after her? Hiruzen's expression sobered. When she first became a Jonin, she publicly shamed a whole generation of the Kiri no Shinabigatana Shichinin Shu. A few of them lived on, and their successors never forgot. They still nurse a grudge. So his mother had been a swordmaster too. Interesting. She was, Kurama answered in his head as they drifted above the castle. Naruto had given the fox the same gift of flight Perona had once enjoyed, and the beast was oddly delighted by it. Mostly she was a heavy hitter, chains and powerful jutsu, but don't underestimate her blade work, deadly with a sword. Hiruzen cleared his throat and met Naruto's eyes. I've told you everything I can. I only ask that you forgive my stupid choices regarding you. No need, Naruto replied, his voice calm and flat as if emotion were a stranger to him. He then told Hiruzen exactly what had happened that night, meeting Mihawk, the fusion, and the goal that had grown from it. Hiruzen listened, mouth open, as if trying to swallow what he'd just heard. That's a lot. Without your appearance or your new knowledge, I'd suspect too much drink or worse, Hiruzen muttered, still staring. Naruto shrugged. A glass of good red would hit the spot, but drugs aren't for me. The merging with Mihawk had shifted him, less prankish, more inclined to naps than antics. He felt sharper, more focused. Mihawk's eyes and memories were the most tangible changes. I have to ask, what now? Hiruzen said, worry threaded through his words. Shadow for a few years, Naruto answered. Train body and mind, become the greatest swordsman in the world. Also, I'll need access to my parents' bank account. I'm saving for a project. A project? Hiruzen pressed, unsettled by the faint grin curling Naruto's lips. A sword? Naruto's reply was short. Hiruzen had no way of knowing that the weapon would mark the very first landmark on Naruto's chosen road. The path of the greatest. Naruto's apartment. Though morning had only just opened, Naruto slid out of bed deliberately and took a quick cold shower to wake his limbs. Clean clothes on, he grabbed an apple and settled on the couch with an academy textbook. After yesterday's meeting with the Hokage, it turned out his study materials were obsolete. Hiruzen had sent ANBU to fetch the right teachers, and, as a gesture, supplied updated books covering the next 6 academy years. Kurama yawned through his mental space. So, what's the plan for today? You're not exactly a morning creature. Train, Naruto said, flipping a page. I'm weak. Right now, calling myself the future greatest swordsman would be laughable. He wasn't wrong. Physically, he lagged. He had endurance and had unlocked chakra early, and of course Kurama's presence multiplied that reserve, but his body didn't match the skill set in his head. Mihawk's memories let him recall countless stances and katas, and Mihawk's vision gave him uncanny long-range clarity. With little effort, Naruto could track nimble shinobi, ANBU, or a certain green-clad loudmouth who always yelled about youth, and anticipate their Shunshin no jutsu direction, at least for a while. Memory and theory didn't translate to practical prowess. Different weapons and different bodies presented barriers Mihawk's recollections couldn't erase. When Naruto tried to reproduce those forms against the human drills inside his mind, his current frame failed spectacularly. They shredded him in seconds. He could read sword movements, but his limbs couldn't keep up. Kurama, half asleep in the mindscape, gave a lazy shrug and left Naruto to his reading. Hours passed and the sun climbed. Closing the book, Naruto left his flat and walked toward the weapons district. He needed to begin a training program from the ground up. People on the street stared and whispered, more unsettled than usual. The new eyes attracted attention. Hiruzen had advised he call them an awakened Dijutsu until its properties were better understood. Better to be vague. Inside the weapons shop, he rang the bell and scanned the shelves. Training gear, medicines, an impressive rack of weapons. The shop wasn't cutting edge, but it had the variety he needed. A man with short brown hair emerged from a back door, dust on his sleeves and a hint of warehouse sweat. He paled when he saw Naruto. Welcome, how can I help? I need ankle and wrist weights, preferably with weight seals, and books on Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, survival, and medicine, Naruto said, moving to the counter. The shopkeeper hesitated. I can sell plain weights, but sealed ones are restricted to shinobi. Same for medical and advanced Taijutsu or Fuinjutsu tomes. Naruto had expected as much. Fine. I'll take the weights and the survival book. The man wrapped the items and set a price. As Naruto reached for the bag, a stack of white sheets near the bell caught his eye. What's that? Chakra paper, the shopkeeper said. Used to test elemental affinity. Genin usually use it after academy graduation, though some only take it at Chunin exam time. He picked up a sheet, and by way of demonstration, channeled a bit of chakra. The paper crumpled and then turned to ash midair. Katten and Dotten will do this. Reitan wrinkles it, Futon splits it in two, Sutin wets it. Naruto grinned. Mind if I try? I unlocked chakra last night. The clerk arched an eyebrow but handed him a sheet. Naruto focused, eased chakra into the paper, it split cleanly, the right half burned to ash while the left puckered. He studied it with a small, satisfied smile. Katten, Reitan, and Futon. Kurama's voice nudged him in the head. I gave you Katten, he said smugly. Your father had Reitan and Futon, your mother favored Sutin and Futon. Water didn't take to your new mix, apparently. The shopkeeper's jaw dropped. 3 affinities, even some Jonin don't have that. You really a kid? Oh, I'm not just a kid, Naruto said, still smiling as he left with his purchases. Training started now. 6 hours later, Konoha's south gate, sweat matted his hair and his shirt lay discarded beside him. Naruto leaned against the stone wall, breathing hard. The weights had taken their toll. Inside his head, Kurama laughed softly. I never thought I'd see you collapse like this, she teased. Maybe pace yourself. Naruto gave a noncommittal nod. Plan stop. Lunch. He pulled his shirt back on and headed home for a quick shower. Half an hour later, he sat on a low stool before a steaming bowl of shrimp ramen, palms together for a quick itadakimasu, then ate with deliberate, even strokes. Even as he savored the food, a prickling sense of being watched niggled at him. Close, very close. Naruto slurped up the last bit of noodles before letting out a small sigh. So, need something from me? Across the counter, the waitress studied him carefully. After a pause, she narrowed her eyes. Who are you, and what did you do with the real Naruto? Naruto chuckled softly, flashing a grin. I am Naruto, still the same me, just a little different now. Aime's frown deepened. Then tell me, when's Naruto's birthday? October 10th, he replied without hesitation. And every year, you make me a special ramen bowl with ingredients you and your dad keep hidden in the back. He spoke so casually, then picked up his chopsticks again, savoring the next bite with his eyes closed. Aim crossed her arms. All right then, what's his favorite ramen? Her father leaned out of the kitchen, just as curious. It used to be miso ramen, Naruto admitted with a shrug. But lately, I've been enjoying seafood more. He gave a small nod, relieved that his love for ramen hadn't disappeared, only shifted a little. I'll never get how you can stomach that stuff. The strongest swordsman deserves only the finest meals, Naruto answered in his mind with a smirk before turning back to Aim. She wasn't finished. What about his favorite color? Orange, Naruto said with a grin, though now I find myself leaning toward darker clothes. He tilted the bowl and drank the last drop of broth. Aim let out a breath. You've really changed, Naruto. Your eyes, your body, and you're so much calmer, even polite. What happened to you? He shook his head lightly. Sorry, Aim, that's classified an S-rank secret. Only the Hokage knows. All I can say is, nothing bad happened to me. If anything, it's the opposite. He set the empty bowl back down with a small smile. Anyway, think I could get another shrimp ramen? Aim studied him again, then finally smiled and nodded. Coming right up, Naruto. She disappeared into the kitchen, where her father was already preparing the order. 30 minutes later, 10 bowls later, Naruto finally left Ikaraku and made his way to the training grounds. His routine was simple. Morning runs, afternoons filled with strength drills and conditioning. He was also planning to dive into Fuinjutsu soon. Mastering gravity seals and storage scrolls would make training far more efficient. But there was time for that. Lost in thought, he didn't notice he'd already arrived until the sound of fists striking wood reached his ears. Looking over, Naruto spotted a boy, probably a year older, throwing punches and kicks at a wooden dummy. His long black hair was tied back in a braid, swaying with each sharp strike as he yelled out HAA in rhythm. Naruto observed for a while before speaking. Even if it's just the basic style, you're not making any mistakes. You must have practiced a lot. The boy nearly jumped out of his skin, then quickly bowed. Ah, forgive me, I didn't hear you approach. Naruto raised a hand lightly. Relax, I should apologize for interrupting. He folded his arms across his chest. So, you train a lot, the boy nodded, glancing at the dummy. Taijutsu is the one thing I can give my all to. What do you mean? Naruto tilted his head, genuinely curious. I'm in my second year at the academy. Last year I was just average. But now that everyone's unlocked their chakra, his fists clenched. I barely have any, just enough to live. Normally, people like me are better suited for medical jutsu or genjutsu, but I can't even pull off a simple E-rank technique. His gaze hardened, filled with fire. That's why I'll become the strongest taijutsu user. I'll surpass even Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of my class. I'll prove that people like me can still be true shinobi. A silence lingered. Naruto stared at him, unreadable. Then he lowered his head, shoulders shaking. The boy stiffened until he heard a chuckle. It grew louder. Wahahahaha! Naruto threw his head back, laughing. When the boy started to look offended, Naruto cut him off with a serious gaze, though a grin lingered. So you're staking everything on taijutsu, huh? That's ambition I can respect. If you want recognition, then you can't just be good, you have to become. Naruto pointed at him. The greatest. The greatest, the boy repeated. Naruto nodded firmly. My goal is to become the greatest swordsman in the world. The boy blinked, surprised to hear someone younger speak with such conviction. I don't care how long it takes or what stands in my way, I'll overcome it. But no one aiming for the top can walk alone. Images flickered in Naruto's mind, faces of people he hadn't even met yet. So, if I'm destined to be the greatest swordsman, then I want to see you become the strongest taijutsu master. Someone I can proudly call my friend. Naruto stretched out his hand. Uzumaki Naruto, future greatest swordsman alive. The boy's eyes widened, then burned brighter. With a firm grip, he shook Naruto's hand. Rock Lee, future greatest taijutsu user, Naruto grinned. Glad to meet you, Rock Lee. He glanced at the wooden dummy. You only know the Academy's basic style, right? Lee nodded, frowning when Naruto smirked. Then let me ask, ever heard of the black leg style? 1 year later, Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi massaged his temples, staring at the boy seated across from him. His desk was buried under stacks of papers. Tell me, Naruto, the old man began with a long breath. Do you know what these are? Naruto glanced at the pile and nodded. Paperwork. Correct, more specifically, reports from the academy. The Hokage leaned forward. Do you know how attendance works there? No idea, Hokage-sama, never really cared. Naruto's lips twitched, almost betraying a smile. When a student misses class without excuse, the teachers send a warning note. Each absence means another note. Understand? Hiruzen's eyebrow twitched as hidden ANBU snickered quietly. He lifted a small stack. Last year, the academy issued 81 notes in total. Then he gestured at the mountain left on the desk. All of these have your name on them. Do you know what that means? Naruto's grin widened. I think I can guess. The Hokage's forehead vein bulged. He slammed his fist on the desk. It means you skipped 214 days out of 230. And you've already missed the first 3 weeks of this year. His voice thundered through the office. You only showed up the first 3 weeks last year and the last day for the final test. I scored the highest, Naruto replied with an easy smile. That's not the point, Hiruzen roared. The teachers want you expelled, and even the council is demanding action, Naruto shrugged. I'm sorry for causing trouble, Hokage-sama, but honestly the academy doesn't have anything left to teach me. The old man squinted. What do you mean by that? I've already studied everything from the books you gave me. History, basics, all covered. Besides, I've got knowledge from someone sealed inside me, older than the village itself. And most importantly, I've got my own training schedule. Hiruzen sighed heavily. Right, that cursed schedule of his. A year ago, after meeting Rock Lee, Naruto had drafted a strict 6-year plan, splitting his growth into yearly stages. The first year had been pure body training, survival skills, and taijutsu practice, though without a true style yet. And the results were obvious. Physically, Naruto already surpassed his peers by a wide margin. Now, in his second year, he had begun preparing for the skills he'd need to chase his ultimate dream. Kenjutsu. For nearly 3 weeks, Naruto had been practicing with nothing more than a wooden bakken. He hadn't chosen a style yet, though thanks to Mihawk's memories he knew plenty. Unlike Mihawk, who rose to the top by perfecting a single school of Kenjutsu, Naruto didn't want to limit himself. His dream was to master everything and surpass even Mihawk, so he started small. A bakken was the safest option. His body was strong, yes, but still unprepared for a weapon like Yoru. Even Mihawk hadn't begun with that black blade. He had started from the basics, and so would Naruto. Hiruzen let out another sigh. Well, since you've gone through every book in here, I assume you've already learned the basic 3 techniques from the academy. I know the theory, and I've managed the Henge no Jutsu and Kawarami no Jutsu pretty well, Naruto replied calmly. But the Bunshin no Jutsu never works right. Kurama says it's because of how much chakra I have, partly from him, partly from my Uzumaki bloodline. The old man gave a knowing nod. Ah yes, your mother had the same issue. I do have a solution, but it can wait. For now, I'll teach you something created by the second Hokage himself, a technique that will solve your problem. He smiled, then added, also, I suggest stepping away from the academy. Train on your own for a few years. When the time comes, I'll personally make sure you can take the graduation exam under my recommendation. It will avoid a lot of headaches. Naruto paused and thought, then gave a small nod. That works for me. This way, I'll have time to train without distractions. Standing up, he bowed politely and left the office. The streets of Konoha were quiet in the early morning as he walked to the training grounds. Rock Lee would still be stuck in class, so Naruto couldn't spar with him today. Still, his sharp ears picked up the sound of steel clashing nearby. Following it, he found himself in a different training ground, this one filled with dummies, sandbags tied to trees, and trunks marked by countless blade strikes. A sudden flash caught his eye. In the blink of an eye, 3 clean cuts appeared across a dummy. Naruto shifted his gaze and saw the swordsman, a young man, late teens, light brown hair tucked beneath a blue bandana, a sword now resting across his back. His flak jacket marked him as a Jonin. "That was incredible," Naruto called out, drawing the man's attention. "You move fast and land 3 strikes in a single second." The Jonin arched an eyebrow. "And what's a kid like you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the academy?" Naruto smirked. "Let's just say I worked out a deal with the Hokage. You're Hate Gecko, right?" Hate blinked. "Yes, how do you know that?" "I asked the Hokage if there were any true swordsmen in Konoha. He told me there was only one. While some Jonin and Anbu dabble with swords or tanto, you're the only real master. Same goes for your student, Yuga Uzuki." Hate raised his brows higher. "You've done your homework. But if you're looking for more swordsmen, you'd have better luck in Kiiri or Kumo. Kenjutsu is part of their basic training. Tell me, though, why are you so interested?" He eyed the Bakken at Naruto's side, already guessing part of the answer. "It's simple," Naruto said firmly. "I want to be a swordsman. I've studied Kenjutsu basics, but I can only get so far against training dummies. That's why I want your help." The Jonin chuckled softly. Kneeling, he placed a hand on Naruto's head. "I'm glad someone your age cares about this art, but honestly, you're still too young. Maybe in a couple of years." Clink. Before he could finish, the tip of Naruto's Bakken tapped against his forehead protector, knocking his bandana off. Hate froze, staring in disbelief. The kid had moved faster than he expected, fast enough to graze him. Naruto's eyes stayed calm. "Still think I'm too young." Slowly, Hate glanced at his fallen bandana, then back at the boy. "Maybe you're more ready than I thought." "Glad we agree," Naruto said with a faint smirk. "So, can you teach me your style?" "You mean the Konoha-ryu? So that's its name." Naruto glanced at the sliced dummy. "You hit it 3 times instantly, so it's based on speed." Hate nodded. "What you saw was Mikazuki no Mai, one of the Konoha-ryu's techniques. Its strength comes from using 2 Kage Bunshin alongside the original." Naruto tilted his head. "Kage Bunshin? It's an advanced form of the clone technique, created by the second Hokage. But unlike regular clones, these are solid and can fight. The drawback is splitting your chakra evenly among them." Naruto's eyes lit up. "So this is what the Hokage wanted to teach me." Kurama chuckled from the back of his mind. "Oh yeah, your parents used that jutsu plenty. In battle and in bed Hess." Naruto ignored him with a mental sigh. "This technique won't be a problem for me," Naruto said confidently. Hate looked confused until the boy added, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Recognition hit the Jonin like a tsunade punch. "Oh, I didn't recognize you. You've changed a lot." "You could say that," Naruto shrugged. "But with my chakra reserves, this jutsu will be perfect." "Maybe so, but the Konoha-ryu is more than flashy moves. We'll start with the katas." Hate shifted smoothly into a stance, his katana glinting in hand. "Watch carefully, then you'll repeat them until they're perfect." Naruto studied each motion closely. Unlike other styles that focused on wearing an opponent down, the Konoha-ryu went straight for vital points: the neck, heart, liver. Every movement was designed to kill cleanly. Hate performed them flawlessly, not even needing a dummy to guide him. In Taijutsu and Bukijutsu alike, katas weren't just about memorization, they were about visualizing real opponents. Beginners used dummies to imagine targets, but true masters needed no such props. They pictured enemies in their mind and struck as if they were there. "That's the last one. Did you catch them all?" Hate asked. Naruto nodded, and the Jonin smiled faintly. "Good, now try them. Don't worry if it takes a few days to get them right. Most kids your age need time." "A few days?" Naruto smirked inwardly as he gripped his Bakken. Kurama's voice rumbled with amusement. "Bet you can't do it in under 2 hours." Challenge accepted. 2 hours later, Konoha training grounds, A young woman with long purple hair moved swiftly from tree to tree, scanning the grounds. Her warm brown eyes searched for her sensei and secret lover. Their relationship wasn't public, though her friend Anko had found out. "Training ground 15, she muttered, recalling where Hayate said he'd be. Landing in the clearing, she spotted him at once. His back was to her, frozen stiff. A short distance away, a blond boy was performing the Konoha katas with sharp precision. She frowned. "Hayate-kun, who is that kid, and why is he practicing your style?" When Hayate didn't answer, she turned and blinked in shock. Her usually composed lover stood wide-eyed and speechless, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Hayate-kun!" Yugao waved her hand in front of his face, snapping him from his thoughts. Oh, hey Yugao-chan. I didn't notice you," Hayate muttered awkwardly, scratching the back of his neck. "I could tell. Anyway, who's that kid over there?" she asked, pointing at the blonde boy practicing sword forms with unwavering focus. "That's Naruto Uzumaki," Hayate explained, his eyes drifting back to a student. "Starting today, he's under my instruction. He came to me saying he wanted to learn Kenjutsu. Though honestly, I feel like I should be learning from him instead." Yugao blinked in surprise, unsure she'd heard correctly. "Wait, isn't he supposed to be in the academy right now? And, did you just say learn from him? He's only a child. You won't believe it," Hayate continued seriously, "but he mastered all the basic Konoha katas in under an hour. Look, he's already practicing them against a shadow opponent." Yugao's jaw dropped. "What, an hour, all of them? It took me days to memorize those moves." She glanced again at the boy, who had now paused to give them a small, almost cheeky grin. "I know, I was just as shocked," Hayate admitted. "It's safe to say he's a prodigy, on par with someone like Uchiha Itachi." Naruto, now standing in front of them, gave a respectful bow. "Good morning, Yugao-senpai. I hope my training here won't disturb you." The title senpai caught her off guard, but she found herself liking the way it sounded. Despite the unsettling intensity of his eyes that sent a chill down her spine, she returned his smile. "Don't worry, Naruto-kun. It'll be nice having another training partner besides Hayate-kun. If you ever need a sparring partner, you can always ask me." Naruto's grin widened slightly. "I'll remember that generous offer, Yugao-senpai." With that, he returned to practicing on a nearby training dummy. Yugao shivered again for reasons she couldn't explain. Did I just sign myself into something I'll regret? She wondered uneasily. 1 year later, Hokage's office. "So, there's truly no way to change your father's decision?" Hiruzen asked with weary eyes, staring at the kneeling figure before him. "I'm afraid not," replied the young man, his voice calm behind the ANBU mask shaped like a weasel. "His mind is made up and nothing will sway him. Not even me." The Hokage exhaled heavily, gazing at the window that overlooked the village. "Konoha means everything to me. I'd sacrifice anything to keep it safe. But sometimes even the Hokage must make choices hidden in shadow." He turned back toward the ANBU. "Uchiha Itachi, codename Weasel," he said solemnly. The young shinobi straightened, bracing for the weight of his final command. "Your last mission as an ANBU is to eliminate the Uchiha clan completely. Afterward, you will leave the village as a missing nin and be listed in the bingo book." Hiruzen's voice cracked with reluctance, though his order remained firm. "I understand, Hokage-sama," Itachi replied without hesitation. Then, after a pause, "May I request one thing?" "What is it?" "Let me spare Sasuke. He has no knowledge of the coup." The Hokage silently drew from his pipe, letting smoke curl into the air. At last he nodded. "Very well, your brother will live. I'll ensure he never learns the truth about this night." Itachi lowered his head in gratitude. "Thank you, Hokage-sama." With that, he disappeared soundlessly into the night. Left alone, Hiruzen's gaze lingered on the portraits of past Hokage. "Hashirama-sama, Tobirama-sama, if only you were still here to guide me." 3 hours later, Konoha training grounds, perched on a rock beneath the moonlight, Itachi sat in silence. Tonight would mark the end of his clan, his hands forever stained in their blood. He wouldn't be alone in this task. He had enlisted another Uchiha, but that truth would remain hidden for now. His grim reflection was interrupted by a sudden explosion in the distance. Alarmed, he rushed toward the sound, arriving at a clearing where training dummies lay scorched and crumbling. At the center stood a familiar blonde, weaving hand seals. "Katten, Ryuka no Jutsu?" A torrent of fire burst from Naruto's mouth, engulfing another dummy in searing flames until it disintegrated into ash. Panting heavily, the boy steadied his breathing. So it's Naruto. Training at this hour? Itachi thought, quietly impressed. It had been 2 years since Naruto's life had drastically changed, his new abilities becoming impossible to hide. Only the Hokage knew the full story, but Itachi often caught glimpses of the boy's relentless training with hate and Yugo. His dedication had even inspired Sasuke to push harder, not wanting to be left behind. One day, perhaps he and Sasuke will be rivals. It's a shame I won't be here to see it. With a faint, bitter smile, Itachi vanished toward the Uchiha compound. What he didn't realize was that Naruto had sensed his chakra from the beginning. His newly discovered sensory abilities made sure of it. The boy kept silent, curious to learn Itachi's intentions. That was definitely Uchiha Itachi's chakra. What is he planning? Naruto wondered. Hello, Naruto-kun. What brings you here? Hiruzen asked with a smile before whispering miserably, Please help. Suzuka confiscated my Ika book, and this paperwork will be the end of me. Naruto let out a small chuckle. I'd love to help you, Hokage-sama, but honestly that woman's stronger than me. Hiruzen exhaled deeply, a hint of frustration in his voice. Sometimes I regret ever taking on the role of Hokage. Then, catching sight of Naruto's determined expression, his features softened into a smile. So, what brings you here, Naruto? Do you need anything for your training? No, Hokage-sama, Naruto replied calmly, thinking about his current regimen with the adamantine sealing chains. Each year, he had focused on a new discipline to push himself further. The first year had been devoted to physical conditioning and survival skills, with taijutsu training to complement it. The second year had honed his kenjutsu skills, and the third had been all about ninjutsu. This fourth year, however, was special. It centered entirely on fuinjutsu, the art that had made his parents renowned. Naruto had quickly grasped the fundamentals and had already reached the 5th level out of 10, putting him on par with Hiruzen himself. Now, approaching his 11th birthday, he was tackling the most challenging part. His mother's signature technique, the adamantine sealing chains. Unlike what many believed, these weren't a Kekkei Genkai. They were a form of fuinjutsu unique to the Uzumaki clan, though not everyone could master them. Kurama had told him that his mother had been the first since Uzumaki Mido, Shademe's wife, to successfully craft them. Even so, Naruto struggled to control the chains. He knew it was too early to expect mastery after only starting, but with a full year ahead, he was determined to improve. I see, so what is it you actually need? Hiruzen asked. While I was at the hospital, Naruto began, his voice calm, I overheard 2 nurses talking about a girl. They seemed worried that a certain doctor might fall victim to one of her illusions. I know it sounds exaggerated, but I'm aware of the Kurama clan and their Kekkei Genkai, the only ones capable of harming someone with illusions. Do you know who they were talking about? Hiruzen's expression turned serious. Yes, Yakumo Kurama, heiress of the Kurama clan. Her father was the clan head, but he and her mother died in a fire 2 years ago. Her story is far more complicated than it appears. Noticing Naruto's growing curiosity, Hiruzen dismissed his ANBU guards and activated the room's privacy seals. Though under very different circumstances, you're not the only one carrying something dangerous inside you. Naruto's eyes widened. Being the only Jinchuriki of Konoha, he hadn't expected that. While you house the Kyuubi, she hosts something like a dual personality, Hiruzen explained. Yakumo is normally calm and gentle, but inside her lives Ito, a malevolent entity capable of taking control and using her powers to harm others. Years ago, her parents asked me to assign a tutor because her body wasn't strong enough for the ninja life. There were 2 main reasons for their decision. First, they wanted to restore the Kurama clan's former prestige. Second, Hiruzen paused, studying Naruto's attentive expression. She saw your friend Rock Lee training under Might Guy and realized their situations were strikingly similar. Lee could only fight with taijutsu. She excelled in genjutsu. If he could become a ninja with only taijutsu, maybe she could succeed using her illusions. Another parent obsessed with power and status, Naruto asked, his tone flat. More or less, Hiruzen replied. But unlike some, he truly loved his daughter. I assigned Kurenai Yuhai as her tutor, hoping she could guide Yakumo properly. Unfortunately, Hiruzen let out a heavy sigh, picking up his pipe. What happened? Did Ito take over? Naruto asked. No, Kurenai had just been promoted to Jonin and lacked experience. She tried to convince Yakumo to abandon her dream of becoming a ninja. Keyword, tried. Yakumo refused. Kurenai was forced to seal her powers, but Ito overcame the seal. Using Yakumo's body, he caused the fire that killed her parents and other clan members. Since then, she's been confined to her mansion, with doctors checking on her physical health, though her increasingly cold and violent demeanor keeps most away. Interesting, Naruto murmured, gazing out the window. Do you think it's possible to meet her? I don't think that's wise right now, Hiruzen said. She's highly unstable, even though I want to help. I could give you the secret to end all paperwork forever. Naruto grinned mischievously, making Hiruzen freeze, his pipe slipping from his fingers. You're lying, I never lie, Hiruzen swallowed. You really mean forever. Forever. Deal, Hiruzen shouted, grabbing a blank scroll. In minutes, he scribbled instructions and handed it to Naruto. This will get the ANBU and Kurama clan members to let you through. Now, tell me the secret to defeating this creature. It's simple, Hokage-sama, Naruto said, taking the scroll and heading for the door. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He vanished, leaving the office. Outside, an eerie laugh echoed across Konoha. Tsuchikige's office, a sneeze blew scattered papers across the Tsuchikige's desk. Damn sneeze, a short man with a prominent nose shouted. Now I'll spend hours reorganizing this. A little black-haired girl peeked in, a mischievous grin on her face. What's the matter, old man, feeling your age? Maybe it's time to pick a successor. Get out, Kuretsuchi, Anoki barked, tossing a paperweight at her. She effortlessly dodged, laughing, and retreated, calling back, Save that hat for me, old man. Tusk, young people today, Anoki muttered, staring at the mess. Why do I feel like I just lost to someone? Konoha Kurama clan compound. Walking through the secluded compound, Naruto reflected on why Yakumo remained locked away, even 2 years after her parents' death. Unlike most clan houses, the Kurama estate was isolated, with only a few clan members and hidden ANBU patrolling. An older man with light brown hair appeared, confronting him. Who are you, and why are you here? Greetings. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, here to meet Yakumo Kurama. I have a scroll from the Hokage. Naruto handed it over. The man read it carefully, then nodded. Very well, I'm Unkai, her uncle from a branch family. Follow me. He led Naruto down a dim corridor to a double wooden door. Knocking, he announced, Yakumo, someone's here for you. Then opening the door, you may enter. But be careful, avoid sensitive topics like your former tutor or ninja career. Naruto stepped in, eyes scanning the dark room filled with paintings. In the center sat a young girl. Who are you? She asked calmly, eyes curious. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. It's an honor, Yakumo-san. He bowed slightly, then gestured to her paintings. Did you create these? She studied him silently, then returned to her canvas. Yes. Painting is how I spend my time and forget certain things. So, have you given up being a ninja to become a painter? Naruto asked, gently touching her hand as it hovered near the canvas. Yakumo's glare sharpened. I haven't given up, someone just took away the means to pursue it. Naruto nodded. I know. But understand this. The Hokage and Kurenai-san acted to protect the village and to contain what's inside you. Ito is dangerous. He caused your parents' deaths. Her eyes blazed. It wasn't its fault, my fault. The Hokage ordered their deaths because he thought I was a threat. Are you certain about this? Yes, really certain, Naruto asked again, narrowing his eyes in a way that made her flinch slightly. Why yes, they fear the Ito inside me. It's my clan's Kekkei Genkai, that's why they sealed it. Naruto crossed his arms, frowning. Then why did your parents die in that fire after the ritual sealed your Ito? If your power was already contained, there'd be no reason for them to be killed. Yakumo's jaw tightened. They wanted me to become a ninja, so he killed them. If that's true, Naruto said slowly, then since you blame the Hokage and your former tutor, I want to see the seal on your body. I've trained with Fuinjutsu for some time. I might be able to tell what kind of seal they used on your Ito. Something stirred in Yakumo's mind, a thought she couldn't quite place, but she shook her head. Just a quick look, it's on my neck. She turned and lowered her pink kimono slightly, exposing the seal. Naruto approached and immediately noticed something off. This seal, It's designed to block a person's power, usually chakra, but this one's modified. The problem with these seals is they suppress abilities without consciousness. But this isn't happening with Yakumo's Ito, Naruto thought, staring at the black kanji. Then he said aloud, "This seal isn't right." Yakumo frowned. "What do you mean? How could it be wrong?" "It could block your power, but not the Ito's," Naruto explained, ignoring the silent protest in his mind. "The Ito has its own consciousness, like a Biju inside a Jinchuriki. With this seal it can still control you. But it hasn't come out since that day," Yakumo said, clutching her neck. "And how do you know that for certain? It can control your body and your mind. It could even hide memories." Naruto stepped closer. "If you want, I can help fix this. I've trained a lot with Fuinjutsu. I can find a solution." Yakumo stayed quiet for a few moments. Why help someone like me?" "Because I was like you," Naruto said with a small smile. "I had no real chance to become a ninja until someone helped me. Now I'm on my path, even if my real dream lies elsewhere." "Do you really think I can still become a ninja?" she asked, her voice trembling. Her dreams had seemed more distant with every obstacle she faced, and another setback might make her give up entirely. "By conventional methods?" "No," Naruto said calmly, and she flinched at his words. Then he grinned. "But I'm not exactly known for following tradition. Let's deal with that seal. Do you have some ink?" 1 hour later, "All set," Naruto said, surveying the 3 circles of seals he had drawn on the floor. Yakumo leaned closer, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What are these?" "A 3-stage seal," Naruto explained. "The first stage blocks any external power so the Ito can't control your body. The second links our minds. And the third destroys the seal on you." He glanced at her. "After that, you'll confront the Ito yourself. Don't worry, I'll be right there." Yakumo nodded uncertainly and followed Naruto to the center of the seal. He sat in front of her, raised his right hand in a half-ram seal, and held out his left. "Take my hand and form a half-ram seal with the other, then channel your chakra into the seal." Yakumo closed her eyes, took a steadying breath, and did as instructed. When she opened them, she was standing on a beach. A forest of black trees loomed nearby and rocks floated in the air. "Interesting," Naruto murmured behind her. "The beach, sea, and forest are part of my mindscape, but the floating rocks and sky, that's yours." "The sky?" Yakumo looked up, astonished. It swirled in shades of violet, black, red, and blue. Floating rocks displayed strange paintings. "So, what now?" she asked, glancing at Naruto, who was staring into the forest with narrowed eyes. A cold, mocking voice came from the shadows. "Now you'll kill this weak boy. You don't need him. I'm the one who will help you." Yakumo froze. Out of the forest emerged a figure resembling her, yet twisted, demonic. Its grin revealed sharp fangs. "Aido," she whispered, taking a step back. "Yes, Yakumo, me, now eliminate this human. He's trying to hold you back, just like that woman did." Naruto watched, unimpressed. "Still trying to manipulate her. You really are the dark side of her mind." "I'm helping her, not manipulating." The Ito spat, glaring at Naruto. "She needs me. That woman discovered me and tried to seal me." Naruto's grin widened slightly. "She tried to seal you." Yakumo's eyes widened in realization. "Kurenai-sensei, she didn't seal you properly, just as Naruto said. And by exploiting that, you controlled Yakumo and caused her parents' deaths," Naruto concluded. "They supported the sealing," the Ito hissed. "Our father wanted the Kurama clan restored. That day, I helped you because I couldn't resist your potential." "That day, the fire," Yakumo stammered. "Yes," the Ito gestured to a black painting. The black melted away, revealing a depiction of her burning home. Naruto remained calm. "Using genjutsu through a painting, another way you could have been stronger." The Ito sneered, then froze as a massive 9-tailed fox appeared, red eyes glaring. What?" Yakumo gasped. "So you're one of the reasons the Kurama clan hasn't returned to glory," Kurama said, smiling. "Hindrances must be removed." With a swift strike of her paw, Kurama crushed the Ito, sending Yakumo into the water. Naruto protected her with a mental chakra shield. "Thanks, Kurama, but Yakumo has to finish this herself," Naruto said with a small grin. The Biju snorted, transforming into her human form. "Fine. I'll nap now, don't disturb me." Naruto helped Yakumo out of the water. "You okay?" "More or less," she coughed, still staring at the forest. "The Kyuubi?" She's resting, Naruto reassured her. Now there's something you must do. They approached the Ito's broken body at the crater's bottom. Yakumo gripped the kunai hidden in her sleeve. The Ito whispered, voice weak. I can't help you. You lie, Yakumo said, reversing her grip. If you truly wanted to help, you wouldn't have killed my parents. I was weak, but I can still be strong, and I'll do it without you. With precision, she stabbed the kunai into the Ito's forehead. The demon shrieked as its face split, revealing another blue-black visage with red eyes. It roared, trying to engulf her but dissolved into nothingness. Yakumo knelt, breathing heavily. Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder. You did well. Thank you, Yakumo murmured with a tired smile, but it faded almost instantly. I've been such an idiot. Seeing Naruto raise an eyebrow, she continued. For all these years, I despised the Hokage, convinced he had a hand in my parents' deaths, when in reality I was the one to blame. That's not true, Naruto said, catching her off guard. It was Ito who killed them, not you. You were emotionally shaken after what happened with your former tutor, and that's what Ito took advantage of. Yakumo nodded slowly, still unconvinced, but his next question grabbed her attention. So, do you still want to be a kunoichi? Yakumo blinked at him. What? I asked if you still want to be a ninja, Naruto repeated, his voice calm. Like I said, you won't get far using traditional methods, but I can guide you. I might even ask the Hokage to place you on my team after graduation. Sure, missing 2 years at the academy will set you back, but I'm confident that by the time we finish training, you'll be a strong genin, stronger than most of the girls still at the academy. Yakumo's eyes shimmered with hope. You'd really help me. Absolutely, Naruto said, offering her a hand to help her up. You might not know this, but years ago I trained Rock Lee and pushed him to become one of the best taijutsu users in the world. Might Guy took him under his wing, and he's only grown stronger since. You can improve too. Tears formed in Yakumo's eyes as she nodded, following him out of the crater. Suddenly, a cascade of weapons rained from above, nearly startling her out of her skin. Now choose, Naruto said, glancing at her. What? Pick a weapon, he explained. You're talented in genjutsu, but your body is weak, which limits your taijutsu. With a weapon, I can help strengthen your body while we find a taijutsu style that suits you. Yakumo hesitated but then scanned the collection. Swords, scythes, spears, whips, shields, greatswords. Her gaze froze on one that resembled a sword, but unlike a normal katana, its double-edged blade was perfectly straight and slender. The hilt was unique, a metal cup with a knuckle bow extending downward to protect the grip. Drawn to it, Yakumo gripped the handle and pulled it from the ground, surprised at its lightness. A rapier, Naruto said, eyes twinkling. Elegant, strong, and light, perfect for someone who relies on speed and flexibility. A rapier, I think I like this one. I'm not sure why. That's normal, Naruto said with a smile. Most people feel it the first time they choose a weapon. He formed a hand seal, and a surge of chakra transformed the area around them into a bright light. When it faded, Yakumo was back in her room. Naruto handed her a pair of special training weights. For now, we'll focus on strengthening your body. Wear these every day, even while sleeping or showering. They're enchanted, you just channel chakra into them and they get heavier. This will build your stamina. Yakumo accepted them, watching him head toward the door. She called after him, "Thank you for everything." He looked back with a smile that slowly turned into a mischievous grin. "Don't thank me yet. Starting tomorrow, thanking me will be the least of your worries." A shiver ran down Yakumo's spine. Why do I feel uneasy about that? 1 year and a few months later, graduation day, Konoha Ninja Academy, a young girl walked steadily toward the academy, her long brown hair swaying with each step. Her eyes scanned the surroundings politely, returning greetings with a gentle smile. Yakumo could hardly believe it. She was about to take the academy's final exam. Thinking back on the past 2 years, she marveled at her transformation, from a fragile, secluded girl to one of the most promising kunoichi of her generation, all thanks to a certain blonde boy who had appeared out of nowhere. Naruto had kept his promise. For the first few months, they focused solely on her physical training, pushing her limits until her body could handle the strain. From there, he guided her through ninjutsu, taijutsu, fuinjutsu, and eventually kenjutsu, using mindscapes for sword practice until she could wield a rapier in real life. The results were clear. Her pale complexion had been replaced with a healthy glow, muscles subtly toned from countless hours of training. She now wore a short-sleeved tan kimono over a red fishnet shirt, black shorts, gray knee-high boots, and forearm guards reminiscent of ANBU. Her kunai and shuriken pouches were strapped strategically, and hidden seals on her palms stored tools for instant use, thanks to Naruto's guidance. Leaning against the academy wall, she waited for Naruto, who was fetching a document for their exam. She smiled at the thought of the Hokage, who, after her apology, had become a grandfatherly figure and even guided her through clan-related laws. Their training matches had been intense. Their scores, 89-0, clearly showing who dominated. A sudden dust cloud approached. Yakumo leapt and clung to the wall as a black-haired boy in a green jumpsuit landed in front of the academy. "Good morning, Yakumo-san. Ready for your exam?" Rock Lee called cheerfully, striking his signature pose. Yakumo smiled nervously. "Good morning, Rock Lee. I'm waiting for Naruto. He had to get a document for us." "Yash. My youthful rivals will surely ace this test," Rock Lee shouted, flames of determination in his eyes. Yakumo forced a smile, remembering how he had joined their training months ago, claiming them both as rivals. She as his female rival, Naruto as his male rival. When she asked Naruto why, he just whispered, "Too troublesome to explain." A few moments later, the courtyard fell silent as someone appeared, leaving a thin trail of blood from his nose. Naruto had arrived. Her eyes widened in disbelief. He had transformed his style. His appearance exuded a mix of danger and charisma that made her heart race. The blonde boy wore a wide-brimmed black hat with a large orange plume, a long open coat with spiral-patterned sleeves, and gray pants tucked into oversized boots. Around his neck hung a wooden amamori engraved with the kanji for greatest. Even after months of training and preparation, Yakumo could hardly believe this was the same boy who had first rescued her from despair. Overall, his outfit looked impressive, and Yakumo found herself at a loss for words. The only minor, almost trivial detail that could trouble her, and likely any woman in the village, was his perfectly defined six-pack. The blood trickling from her nose betrayed her reaction, though she'd never admit it. "Good morning, Yakumo. Ready for the final exam?" Naruto greeted, seemingly ignoring the obvious effect his presence had on her. Kurama had warned him that his new look might have unintended consequences, but Naruto shrugged it off. After all, Mihawk had dressed like this without any trouble, so why should it be different for him? "Why yes, Naruto. I'm ready," Yakumo stammered, wiping the blood from her face while her cheeks burned crimson. "Great, then let's go. The exam is about to begin." Naruto's tone was calm as he led the way, Yakumo following close behind. Walking through the academy corridors, he ignored the lingering stares from girls and women alike. Instead, his mind wandered back over the 6 years that had passed since that fateful night. In that time, he had met several people who had left a mark on him: Rock Lee, Yakumo, Yugo, and Hayate. With Rock Lee, friendship had blossomed, tempered by a playful rivalry that saw them spar hundreds of times. Yakumo had become a trusted friend, a companion, and a valuable student in Genjutsu, an area Naruto struggled in due to his vast chakra reserves. Yugo and Hayate served as mentors he could rely on at any moment. One reason he had introduced them to Yakumo, who had become Hayate's student to the man's delight. But above all, Naruto's proudest achievement was his progress as a swordsman. After 5 years of rotating his training focus annually, the 6th year had been dedicated to consolidating everything, including lessons in Genjutsu alongside Yakumo. Just a week prior, following a sparring match with the Hokage, Hiruzen had praised him for his determination and growth. Though he barely showed it, those words had filled Naruto with immense pride. Eventually, they arrived at the door indicated by a teacher. Naruto knocked twice, and upon hearing a muffled enter, he pushed the door open and stepped inside, Yakumo following. Conversation immediately ceased. Every student, along with the instructors, turned to watch, though the girls seemed fixated on Naruto's bare chest. "Good morning," Naruto said, approaching the teachers. "Which of you is Yumino Uruka?" "That would be me. How can I help you?" Uruka asked, clearly unnerved by Naruto's piercing gaze. Naruto handed over the scroll from the Hokage and waited silently as Uruka read, his eyes widening almost comically. After a few moments, Uruka addressed the class. "Students, please welcome Uzumaki Naruto and Kurama Yakumo, who who will be joining us for today's final exam. What? Nearly the entire class shouted, some visibly outraged. That's not fair, a boy with a small white dog atop his head protested. He left the academy in the first year. That may be true, Uruka explained, but the Hokage personally recommended this so he could oversee Naruto's training. Yakumo, on the other hand, could not enroll previously due to health issues, but thanks to her tutor's guidance, she is ready for today. The boy muttered under his breath, while the rest glared at Naruto for being the Hokage student. Naruto met their glares with disinterest, until he caught sight of a familiar figure, fingers interlaced in front of his face. Sasuke Uchiha. Still distant and arrogant, he had improved considerably over the last 2 years. Many teachers now considered him Chunin level. His attire had subtle changes, forearm guards replacing arm warmers, blue fingerless gloves, and a simple katana with a black sheath, decorated with the Uchiha crest. Naruto's curiosity piqued. Naruto and Yakumo made their way to the back of the classroom. Uruka and Mizuki handed out papers, though Mizuki's gaze burned with barely concealed resentment. So the demon is back. I thought he'd quit being a ninja. No matter if he fails, I've got my ace in the hole for the scroll of seals, Mizuki thought, glancing toward a certain girl with a sinister grin. The written portion passed with little excitement for Naruto, who found it boring. Soon, they moved to the courtyard for the Taijutsu test. Each student had to resist or push out an instructor within 5 minutes. Naruto faced Mizuki, whose disturbing smile didn't go unnoticed. Let's see what you've got, demon, Mizuki thought, lunging forward. Naruto remained unimpressed. With precise timing, he dodged, pivoted, and grabbed Mizuki's arm before effortlessly tossing him across the ring. Uruka's eyes widened as he scribbled notes. Well done, Naruto. You pushed him out. Thanks, sensei, Naruto replied with a small smile, returning to Yakumo. Nice work, Naruto, she said proudly. Mizuki panted, disbelief written across his face. That demon, this strength back in the classroom, Uruka called students for the 3 required jutsu. Yakumo performed flawlessly, securing her forehead protector with pride. Well done, Yakumo. You earned it, Naruto said softly. Thanks to you, Naruto. I wouldn't have managed it otherwise, she replied. Don't sell yourself short. Hard work always pays off. Next, Uruka called Yuzuki Ami, Yugao's niece. Yakumo whispered, I've seen her before. She's notorious for causing trouble and chasing Sasuke. Naruto nodded, observing Ami's shaky attempts at Henge no Jutsu and Bunshin no Jutsu. Ultimately, her clones were pale and weak. Uruka shook his head. I'm sorry, Ami, but you cannot advance. You barely passed the written exam, and your Taijutsu lasted only 2 minutes. Naruto's expression remained neutral. Mizuki attempted to intervene, but Uruka would not relent. Ami sulked quietly on a swing in the yard, isolated from the crowd. Hate approached, smiling as Yakumo greeted him warmly. Welcome back, sensei. Indeed. I just returned from a mission and wanted to see if you'd passed. Did you have doubts? Yakumo asked. Plenty, Hate admitted, smiling despite a playful shoulder punch from Yakumo. Still, congratulations. You've both come far. Thank you, sensei, Naruto and Yakumo said in unison, though Naruto added, unfortunately, the same can't be said for Yugao's niece. Hate glanced toward the swing where Ami sat alone, and a shadow of sympathy crossed his face. Maybe I should give her some space for now. If I intervene, I might make things worse, the man muttered, scratching his head. Regret weighed heavily on him. He had failed to help his girlfriend's niece when she needed it most. The 2 freshly minted genin nodded silently and began trailing him, while on the other side, Mizuki approached Ami with a sly, unsettling smile. That night, Hokage's office. She did what? Naruto's brow shot up in disbelief, as Yakumo's eyes mirrored the same astonishment. Hiruzen covered his mouth with a cough, a faint blush creeping across his cheeks. Ami, she somehow managed to steal the scroll of seals. Naruto's gaze hardened, a mix of irritation and disbelief crossing his face. Why on earth would she do something like that? I'm not certain, Hiruzen admitted, furrowing his brows. What's odd is that she knew exactly where to look. Normally, only ninja-ranked Chunin or above are aware of this scroll. Naruto's gaze drifted toward the village outside the window, suspicion creeping in. Sounds like someone fed her that information, a person ruthless enough to use a child as a pawn. Yes, Hiruzen said gravely. Several ninja are already searching, but I need your expertise. You're one of my most skilled sensors. We can't afford to lose the scroll or the secrets it holds. I understand, Naruto said, nodding before stepping out of the office, Yakumo following closely behind. So, where do we even begin? Yakumo asked, her tone edged with determination. She was eager to act. Anyone who would use a child as a pawn deserved retribution, and she wasn't about to let them escape justice. If our suspicion of a mole is correct, they'll seek out Ami first, intending to steal the scroll. To do this, they'll likely choose a secluded area, somewhere away from the other search parties still combing the village, Naruto explained as they walked along the streets. Suddenly, his eyes lit up with an idea. Yakumo, head behind the Hawkage rock. That's likely where Ami went. Are you sure? Yakumo asked, raising an eyebrow at his sudden intuition. What about you? I need to grab something from my place, just in case we end up in a fight, Naruto said with a slight grin before vanishing in a flash toward his apartment, leaving Yakumo exhaling in mild exasperation. Right, no reason to stand around. Let's get moving, Yakumo muttered, shunning toward her own destination. 30 minutes later, behind the Hawkage rock, Ga! Uruka-sensei, Ami shouted, horrified, as Uruka was pinned against a tree by a volley of kunai. Pathetic as ever, huh, Uruka? Mizuki sneered from a branch above. Teaching at the academy has clearly made you weak. Mizuki, what's the meaning of this? Uruka demanded, struggling to free himself, while Ami stared in shock at her former teacher. Mizuki-sensei, she stammered. Well, look who's shocked, Mizuki taunted. Hand over the scroll and I'll make your death quick and painless. But the secret exam Ami hesitated, fear rooting her to the spot. Ami, get that scroll and run, Uruka shouted, hurling shuriken at Mizuki, who effortlessly dodged each one before leaping at Uruka. Sparks flew as kunai clashed, but Uruka's injuries left him at a disadvantage. You traitor! Why are you doing this? He yelled. Mizuki smirked, kicking him in the chest. Don't you get it? This village is weak. I found one with a stronger leader, and that scroll will be my gift to him. You monster, Uruka growled, lunging with his kunai, but Mizuki was too fast. He slashed Uruka's shoulder, drawing blood and forcing him to retreat. You're pitiful, Uruka. Here you are, bleeding, cursing, trying to protect a worthless girl, Mizuki mocked, slicing across Uruka's cheek. Why defend her? She barely has talent, yet she somehow reached the final year. Shut up, she's not worthless. She's one of my students and I won't abandon her in danger, Uruka shouted at Ami. Run, Ami. I'll hold him off. Yes, run, you worthless little girl, Mizuki jeered, deflecting shuriken with ease. Once I finish him, you're next. Ami's eyes welled with tears, guilt flooding her. She had fallen into a trap, yet a spark of determination ignited within her. Her father had died protecting her and her mother, and she would honor his memory. Her aunt Yugo had joined the ANBU young, leaving Ami alone often, growing tough to avoid loneliness. Now she wouldn't let herself be defeated by fear. I won't run, I'm not useless, Ami shouted, reaching for her shuriken pouch and the scroll. With a pulse of chakra, she unsealed her 10th birthday gift, a tanto with a black sheath adorned with violet flowers. Oh, so you want to fight? Don't make me laugh, Mizuki barked, kicking Uruka aside before spinning a Fuma shuriken toward Ami. You're not fit to be a kunoichi. Die. Through tears, Ami grinned. You should have come sooner, Mizuki team. Now I have time to study the scroll. The shuriken passed harmlessly through her, and in a blink she reappeared behind him. Shunshin no jutsu, Mizuki thought, puzzled, as she struck him again. No, something else, Ami smirked. Zanzo Bunshin. The jutsu, used by Shisui Uchiha, created afterimages to confuse Mizuki. He rushed to strike her but was already too late. Ami had mastered a technique meant for the scroll. You little brat, Mizuki roared, kicking her into a tree. She coughed up blood, struggling to rise, muscles screaming in pain. I have to admit you surprised me, but now it ends, Mizuki hissed, throwing a kunai toward her prone body. The blade pierced the ground where she had been, but Ami was gone. AMI, Uruka screamed, tears falling as Mizuki laughed at the empty space. I don't have time for this, Mizuki muttered, approaching where Ami had been, only for her to reappear beside Uruka, carried safely by Yakumo. Are you all right, Uruka-sensei? Yakumo asked gently, placing Ami down. Yakumo, Uruka stammered. I'm here to help, Yakumo said simply, her eyes firm. Rest until reinforcements arrive. Mizuki scowled. Another little girl trying to play ninja? I'll teach you your place. If I were you, Mizuki, a new voice called, I'd rethink threatening anyone right now. Naruto stepped forward, ignoring Mizuki's glare. On his back was a massive sword, golden hilt and blood-red grip, a weapon unlike any other Mizuki had ever seen. What is that? Mizuki thought, sweat forming on his forehead. I wasn't ignoring you, Naruto said calmly, standing protectively in front of Yakumo and the others. I'm just making sure you don't hurt Uruka or Ami again. I don't have time to waste with amateurs like you. I'll just kill you and take that scroll, Mizuki snarled, tossing a second Fuma shuriken into his hand. I hope that sword of yours can take a hit because nothing else will save you. Naruto's gaze flicked to the spinning weapon, and instead of raising his arm, he did something unexpected. He grabbed the wooden amamori hanging from his neck and removed it. Without a word, he held it with both hands and pried off a small piece, revealing a hidden blade, which he clenched tightly in his right hand. What? You think some little trinket will stop me? Mizuki's eyes burned with fury. I came prepared, thinking the mole was someone dangerous. Turns out you're just another Chunin, Naruto said calmly. I'm not the type to go all out against someone like you, and right now, this is the sharpest weapon I have. You dare underestimate me. Take this and die, demon, Mizuki screamed, hurling his second shuriken straight toward Naruto's neck. Uruka and Ami yelled for him to dodge, but Naruto stood still, waiting. When the shuriken drew near, he moved his right arm faster than the eye could follow. In an instant, the weapon split perfectly in half, falling harmlessly behind him. Mizuki froze, and even Uruka and Ami gaped in shock. What just happened? Mizuki stumbled back, staring at Naruto with disbelief. Futon chakra, Naruto explained simply, stepping forward before sheathing his blade. He then turned toward Yakumo. I'm still here, demon. A broken weapon won't stop me, Mizuki shouted, raising a kunai. As tempting as it is to teach you a lesson, I don't take what belongs to others, Naruto replied, not even glancing at him. Confused, Mizuki barely had time to react before he collapsed to his knees, crushed by a massive surge of Ki. He turned his head, heart pounding, as 4 ANBU appeared, one with long purple hair radiating the overwhelming aura. Oh, the captain's mad, murmured one ANBU, a bare mask covering their face. I almost feel sorry for him, added the bird-masked one, shaking their head. He messed with that little girl. He asked for this, said the third, tapping their boar mask. ANBU, no, Mizuki growled. You won't, my master is wait. His words were cut off as the purple-haired ANBU moved with blinding speed, sheathing her sword with a loud click and decapitating him instantly. Blood spilled across the ground. So fast, Uruka and Ami thought, though Yakumo and Naruto were already familiar with Yugao's speed. Is everyone okay? Yugao's calm, professional voice swept over them. She stopped in front of Ami, who nodded shyly, though Naruto noticed her hands trembled slightly, betraying the desire to embrace her niece. A gesture held back by duty. Given the situation, we should recover the scroll and get the wounded to the hospital, Naruto said, drawing everyone's attention. Yakumo and I will take the scroll to the Hokage. The three of you can escort Uruka. Seal the traitor's body and then bring Ami once she calms down. The 3 ANBU nodded, handling Mizuki's body and shunshining Uruka toward the hospital. Yakumo took the scroll from Ami, and she vanished with Naruto in a blink, leaving behind a quiet, "Thank you," from Yugo. Once alone, Yugo hugged Ami tightly. "I'm sorry, this is my fault." Ami shook her head, tears streaming again. "No, it's mine. I fell for his trick, and even failed the academy exam. I'm a disgrace." "SSSH, don't cry, you're not a failure. You fought using the weapon we gave you, that's something to be proud of," Yugo reassured her with a gentle smile. "And the exam, there's always next year, and I'll be there to help you." Ami nodded, comforted, as the Hokage observed the scene through his crystal ball, a warm smile on his lips. 1 hour later, Hokage's office. "And that's the full report, Hokage-sama," Yugo said, still masked, Naruto, Yakumo, and Ami behind her. "That's reassuring. I'm sure Inoichi can extract valuable information from Mizuki's mind. We must find out who this master is that wanted the scroll of seals," Hiruzen said gravely before turning to Ami with a smile. "Now, I think it's time for your reward." He tossed a forehead protector to her. Shock registered on Ami's face. "But Hokage-sama, this is—" "Yes, Ami-chan, you're officially a genin of Konoha. Congratulations," Hiruzen said warmly, as Ami's tears of joy spilled anew. "And you, Yugo," Hiruzen continued, "you requested to leave the ANBU to train young ninjas." "Correct," both girls nodded. "Well, your request has been approved, and I have a team in mind for you." Konoha Ninja Academy, excitement and nerves filled the classroom. The newly promoted ninjas gathered, ready to discover their teams and Jonin instructors. Many whispered guesses, while others sat silently, waiting. Sasuke sharpened his katana, attracting swooning attention from his admirers, oblivious to their gushing. Nearby, the Aburame heir Shino murmured to his insects, while the Nara and Akimichi heirs, Shikamaru and Choji, lounged, eating and napping as usual. Ino and Sakura bickered in the back, jostling for a spot near Sasuke, when the door opened. Ami entered, now wearing sleek black shorts, high boots, a purple shirt with a single sleeve, a forearm guard, a chest plate, and her tanto across her back. Her forehead protector was tied to her bicep, signaling her promotion. "What, Ami, how are you here?" Sakura cried. "You failed the exam, remember?" Ino added. Ami smirked, pointing at her forehead protector. "Check again, I passed, I'm a ninja now." "Promoted last night." "Last night?" Sakura asked, suspicious. "That's classified info. Ask the Hokage if you want details," Ami replied with a playful grin, ignoring the girls as she walked to the empty seat beside Yakumo and Naruto. Pointing to the seat, she asked softly, "May I sit here?" Yakumo smiled warmly at her. "Of course you can." After taking a seat, the Kurama heiress asked curiously, "So, new outfit?" "Sort of," Ami admitted, scratching the back of her head. "These are actually my Aunt Yugao's old clothes, except for this red skirt. Most of my own outfits weren't exactly practical for ninja life, so she offered me some of hers." Her gaze then drifted toward Naruto. "By the way, what happened to that massive sword you usually carry?" "That's a claymore," Naruto explained calmly. "I left it at home today, didn't really need it." But even with his composed tone, Ami felt an involuntary shiver run down her spine at the intensity of his gaze. At that moment, as several students watched in stunned silence, Ami quietly conversing with two students who had only appeared during the final exam, the classroom door opened, and Uruka stepped in, a gentle smile on his face. "Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see you all here," he greeted, taking his place behind the desk. "Today, you'll be split into teams, each assigned a Jonin sensei. Your teammates will be your comrades. You'll train together, fight together, and face challenges as a unit. That bond, that teamwork, is what makes Konoha the strongest hidden village, the will of fire. I'm proud to have taught you these past 5 years, and when you become successful ninja, remember me." The class erupted into cheers, expressing their gratitude in their own ways. Uruka raised a clipboard to regain order. "Now let's announce your teams. Team 1. I wonder who we'll be with," Yakumo whispered to Ami, who nodded. "I'm pretty sure we're together after last night, but I have no clue about the number. Just wait and see." "It's almost over," Naruto said, eyes closed. Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha and Sai, Jonin Sensei, Kakashi Hadake. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba and Yuzuka and Shino Aburame, Jonin Sensei. Kurenai Yuhai, Team 9 is still active. Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi, Jonin Sensei, Asuma Sarutobi, and finally, Uruka paused, a small smirk forming. Team Blade, Naruto Uzumaki, Yakumo Kurama and Ami Yuzuki. Jonin Sensei, Yugo Yuzuki, that's it, your teachers will come get you shortly. Good luck, everyone. Wait a minute. Why does our team have a name while the others are just numbers? Kiba shouted, glaring toward Ami, who was grinning, while Yakumo simply smiled and Naruto remained expressionless. "Hokage's orders," Uruka shrugged. "You can ask him yourself if you're curious." Kiba paled and sat back down, speechless, while some students exchanged uneasy glances. After bidding farewell, Uruka left, and soon the Jonin arrived to take their teams. "Team Blade," Yugo called, smiling as Naruto, Ami, and Yakumo approached. "Meet me at Training Ground 13 in 15 minutes." She shunshined away, leaving a swirl of leaves behind. Without hesitation, Yakumo placed a hand on Ami's shoulder, and with Naruto, they shunshined to the designated training ground. "What the? That jutsu?" Kiba exclaimed, eyes wide, leaving the rest of the class speechless. Sasuke, gripping his katana hilt, scowled in irritation. They both already know Shunshin no Jutsu, Sasuke thought, watching them disappear. I need to learn it. 2 minutes later, training ground 13, good to see you're as fast as ever, Yugao said, smiling as the 3 students appeared, Ami looking a bit green. Don't do that all of a sudden again, Ami yelled at Yakumo, who scratched the back of her head sheepishly. Sorry about that, Yakumo replied. First times are always tough. Don't worry, Ami. I'll teach you that technique once the team is official, Yugao assured them. What do you mean? The team isn't official yet? Yakumo asked, Ami nodding in confusion while Naruto remained silent. No. Despite your forehead protectors, you're not officially ninja yet. Yesterday's exam was only to narrow down the candidates, Yugao explained seriously. Tomorrow at 7 sharp, I want you back here for the real test. For now, let's get to know each other better. She glanced at their skeptical expressions, then added, I know you 3 are familiar with me, but you don't really know each other. Talk about your dreams, likes, dislikes, anything. Yakumo gestured for Ami to go first. After a sigh, Ami began. I like shopping, blackberry tarts, and seeing Sakura Roka and Ino Bunta fail when they try to get Sasuke's attention. I dislike rapists, traitors, worms, rain, and being left behind. She looked away, slightly blushing. My dream is to become a strong ninja like my aunt. Yugao smiled, secretly amused that Ami no longer fixated on the Uchiha. Next, Yakumo spoke. I enjoy painting, genjutsu training, and sparring with Naruto, Rock Lee, Yugao-sensei, and Hayate-sensei. I dislike rapists, traitors, incompetence with basic tools, and people who underestimate genjutsu. My dream is to become the greatest genjutsu specialist in the world. Ami's eyes widened, impressed. Becoming the best in the world was no small feat, but Yakumo seemed undaunted. Just a few days ago, I saw some guy with terrible taste screaming. He wants to be the best at taijutsu. Ami shivered at the memory before glancing at Naruto. I like ramen, training with Yakumo, Rock Lee, Yugao-sensei, and Hayate-sensei, reading, and my swords, Naruto said. I dislike rapists, traitors, those who abuse power, and politicians. My goal is to become the greatest swordsman in the world. Ami's jaw dropped slightly. Why is everyone trying to be the best at something? My dream feels so trivial now. Very good, Yugao said with a nod. You're free to go, but remember, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and don't skip breakfast. After Yugao left, Naruto turned to Ami. We didn't get a proper chance to talk last night, so I want to now. From what the Hokage told me, you managed to steal the scroll of seals and still faced Mizuki despite the odds. I'm impressed. Many would have let him go. Ami blushed and looked away. It wasn't nothing. I've always hated that guy and couldn't let him escape. At least his plan got me promoted and gave me a new technique. You mean the Zanzo Bunshin, right? Yakumo asked. Ami nodded, stepping back. Concentrating, she split into 2 afterimages at her sides. Yakumo stared in shock, while Naruto's sharp eyes detected subtle flaws in the afterimages. I see. This isn't a true Bunshin but a speed-based technique, Naruto explained. You move so fast that you leave afterimages, tricking the eye. It makes sense why it's in the scroll of seals. A ninja focused on speed could be deadly with it. It also sets a foundation for learning Shunshin no Jutsu. You just need to expand your chakra reserves. Yakumo nodded thoughtfully. I have a question. How did you steal the scroll of seals? Shouldn't it have been heavily guarded? Ami blushed again, scratching her head. Well, Mizuki told me where it was. Thanks to Aunt Yugo, I knew there were moments when no ANBU were in the Hokage's office. So I took the chance, and then she trailed off, earning a few raised eyebrows. Sorry, what did you say? I didn't catch that, Yakumo asked, stepping closer to her teammate, who was blushing furiously. I said, I transformed into a nude version of Aunt Yugo, and the Hokage fainted from a sudden nosebleed. A stunned silence fell over the training ground. Naruto and Yakumo stared at the girl, eyes wide, struggling to process what they had just heard. The 3 of them froze for a few tense seconds until Naruto finally had to sever the mental link with Kurama. He couldn't hear her uncontrolled laughter any longer. I see, Yakumo murmured, her cheeks tinged pink. Beside her, Naruto quickly regained his composure, drawing on Mihawk's memories. After all, the man had witnessed far stranger things in his lifetime, and the pirate Vinsmoke Sanji had been an outrageous womanizer. Shaking his head, Naruto turned to Yakumo. "Better get ready for tomorrow, but come with me for a moment," he said, walking away while glancing back at Ami. "You're welcome to join. Could be useful for you." Surprised but intrigued, Ami followed silently until the trio arrived at a ninja equipment store Naruto and Yakumo knew well, especially Naruto, who had first discovered his chakra affinities there and continued to purchase his gear from the shop. As the door opened, a large man greeted them. "Ah, Naruto, Yakumo, my favorite customers, and your friend," he paused, looking at Ami. "Good morning, Daiki," Naruto nodded. "I'm here to pick up the order I commissioned months ago. Is it ready?" Daiki grinned. "Of course. It took some time, but with your instructions, I managed to finish it just in time." The man disappeared into the back room, returning moments later with a wooden box, about 50 inches long and 6 inches tall, its edges reinforced with metal and secured by 2 drawbolts. He placed it on the counter, waiting for Naruto's cue. Naruto nodded to Yakumo. "Open it." Curiosity and confusion battled on Yakumo's face as she snapped the drawbolts and lifted the lid. Her gasp was mirrored by Ami's wide-eyed surprise. Inside rested a rapier on a purple velvet lining. Its scabbard was finely crafted black leather with a steel tip, the red Konoha symbol painted near the hilt. The metal cup gleamed bright steel, etched with delicate feathers, and the red leather grip extended into a knuckle bow shaped like the Kurama clan emblem. Yakumo stared, speechless, before Daiki nodded encouragingly. Carefully, she lifted the rapier, surprised by its lightness. Drawing the blade, she marveled at its flawless craftsmanship. She stepped back, slashing at the air and practicing lunges. The faint sound of steel slicing through the air echoed in the shop. Finally, she sheathed it, trembling slightly. "Thank you, it's incredible," she whispered, fighting back tears. "You should thank Naruto," Daiki said with a smile. "He guided me through every detail of its creation. Without him, I couldn't have done it." Looking at Naruto, Yakumo caught his smile. "You've earned this. You've worked so hard since we met, and choosing a rapier was your decision. It's only fair you get the real thing." Overcome with emotion, Yakumo flung herself into Naruto's arms, hugging him tightly. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Still slightly confused, Naruto patted her back. "No need to thank me. Today, get familiar with it. Tomorrow, you'll need every bit of your skill." Yakumo smiled, blushing. "I won't let you down, I promise." She dashed from the shop, waving goodbye to her teammates and Daiki, who chuckled heartily. "You sure know how to make a woman happy," Daiki said to Naruto, a playful glint in his eye. "I wonder if you could do it in other ways too," Ami blushed, but Naruto simply rolled his eyes. "Now it's your turn." "Me?" Ami asked, pointing at herself. Naruto nodded. "Yakumo mentioned you can handle a tanto well. You're fast, which makes a speed-based sword style ideal. In addition to your tanto, I suggest a pair of wakizashi. If Yugao-sensei or Hayate-sensei can't guide you, I'll help you." I don't know," Ami hesitated, lifting her weapon. "I want to learn kenjutsu, but can I really? Is it too late?" "Not at all," Naruto said firmly. "Yakumo began before you, but she only learned the basics with different weapons. Today she starts training with a real rapier. You can start learning too. Don't expect to master everything immediately, it's a new field for you." Wakizashi then?" Ami asked, meeting his gaze. "Yes, they'll suit you," Naruto replied. Daiki returned with 2 simple wakizashi, black scabbards, gold circular guards, and red fabric-wrapped hilts. Ami tested their weight, then strapped them on her back in an X formation, handles jutting above her shoulders. After paying, Naruto led Ami to the training ground. Naruto," Ami said, hesitating. Thank you for helping me." "Of course," he said with a small smirk. "Now let's get started. Time is short and there's a lot to cover. I'll be a bit stricter than usual." Ami shivered, uneasy. "Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" 5 hours later, Yugo and Ami's house. Ami stumbled in, bruised and scratched, looking like she'd survived a brutal day. Yugo glanced up from her magazine, eyes widening in shock. Naruto and Yugo exchanged brief nods. "Training?" Yugo asked. "Torture," Ami muttered. 3 hours. 4.5, Yugo nodded, noting the wakizashi strapped to Ami's back. This team is going to be interesting, she thought, smiling as she returned to her magazine. The next day, training ground 13 arriving at camp, the 3 noticed Yugo wasn't alone. Behind her stood two men in similar attire, one wearing his bandana normally, the other with it reversed and a senbon clamped between his teeth. Naruto and Yakumo recognized Hayate immediately. Ami squinted at the other. "Genma-san, what are you doing here?" she asked, tilting her head. Genma smirked. "Good to see you again, Ami. Hayate told me you took some risks the other day." "Yes, you could say that," she mumbled, glancing away. "Nice to meet you. I'm Genma Shiranui, a friend of Hayate and Yugo," he said to the others. The two bowed politely, glancing at their team sensei questioningly. "As I mentioned yesterday, today you'll take the true test to become Konoha Genin," Yugo said, her expression serious. "Usually, it involves retrieving 2 bells from me within a time limit, testing teamwork. But that would be too predictable. So instead, we'll evaluate your skills directly. Both Hayate and I are too attached, so Genma will be your opponent. Impress him, fight with everything you have, and he'll decide if you're worthy." As her teammates squared off against Genma, Ami fidgeted nervously. Yugo-sensei, are you sure about this?" she asked quietly. "I don't think I can face someone like Genma-san. He's a Tokubetsu Jonin, just like Hayate." Yugo gave her a reassuring smile. "I understand, Ami, but there's no need to worry. This test isn't about defeating Genma, it's about showing him what you're capable of." Ami hesitated but nodded, trying to summon some courage. With a wave and a few final words of encouragement, Yugo and Hayate vanished, leaving the 3 young ninja alone with Genma, who stood silently as they instinctively stepped back to put some distance between themselves and the Jonin. "All right, let's begin," Genma said, scanning them carefully before suddenly launching a volley of kunai and shuriken to gauge their reflexes. Ami, still unpracticed and wary, quickly activated Kawarami no Jutsu, the body replacement technique, swapping herself with a log just in time to avoid the incoming weapons. Nearby, Naruto remained steady, forming a brief sequence of hand seals before shouting, "Futen, Baoseki Tate no K's." Wind swirled violently around him, forming a circular shield that deflected the projectiles back toward Genma. The Jonin raised a brow, effortlessly deflecting them with a single kunai, his experience allowing him to anticipate the attack. Yakumo relied on her agility, dodging every kunai and shuriken with precision. Once the last one came at her, she retaliated, hurling a dozen kunai with explosive tags attached. Genma reacted immediately, forming hand seals and slamming his palms to the ground. Daten. Doryuheki. A thick wall of rock erupted in front of him, absorbing the blasts before collapsing into a cloud of dust and smoke. Listening carefully, he caught a sound to his left and blocked Yakumo's attack, momentarily holding her at bay. But Naruto emerged from the smoke, claymore raised high, ready to strike. Genma braced himself, coating his secondary kunai in Daten chakra. The impact was stronger than expected, numbing his arm for a few seconds, but he held firm. Ami then appeared from the left, tanto drawn. Without missing a beat, Genma spat a senbon between his teeth. The needle struck Ami's thigh with blinding speed, forcing her to her knees. Naruto and Yakumo rushed to assist, but Genma leapt back, throwing his kunai aside to prepare his next jutsu. "Katen, Housenka no Jutsu!" Dozens of fireballs shot toward them. Naruto and Yakumo stepped in front of Ami, forming hand seals of their own. "Suten, Teppadama! Futen, Daitapa!" The water and wind attacks combined to neutralize the fire, creating a cloud of steam that obscured Genma's position. Ami removed the senbon from her leg, but before she could react, small explosive balls erupted from the steam, temporarily blinding her and Yakumo. Naruto used the visor of his hat to shield his eyes and tracked the movement. Genma dashed toward Yakumo, fist raised, but Naruto intercepted, parrying with the flat of his claymore. Frustrated, Genma shifted tactics, swinging in a hook. Naruto narrowly avoided it, noticing the Jonin's momentum as he spun, delivering a powerful rotating kick that forced Naruto to stabilize himself with chakra in his feet. The kick pushed him back into Yakumo, who had just regained her bearings. Genma readied 3 kunai in his left hand. As predicted, they were aimed at Ami, who was still recovering. Naruto shouted, "Ami, jump to the left." She obeyed, narrowly avoiding the attack. Genma grinned at Naruto's quick thinking but turned his attention to Yakumo, who was now on the ground. With a sharp shout, "Kai!" he dispelled her illusion. Yakumo launched a high kick, which Genma barely avoided, only to be thrown into Naruto. Despite his leg being momentarily paralyzed from the earlier Senbin attack, he caught her safely. "I'm sorry, Naruto, I wasn't fast enough," Yakumo gasped. "No need to apologize. He caught me off guard too," Naruto said, removing the Senbin from his leg as the wounds healed within seconds. Genma observed carefully. "And Uzumaki and a Jinchuriki, that damage won't slow him down. I may have surprised him once, but not again," he thought. Ami rubbed her eyes as she approached her teammates, muttering, "Every time he seems to have a plan ready." "He's using our attacks against us," Naruto said calmly. When the steam blocked his view, he didn't retreat. Instead, he used it to mask his approach, exploiting the reduced visibility to close in without hesitation. "Impressive analysis," Genma said, still smirking as he produced a scroll. Infusing it with chakra, he conjured a katana with a gray sheath and hilt. Ami's eyes widened. "Genma-san, you can wield a sword too. I've learned a few things from spending time with Hate and Yugo, though I'm not their level," he admitted, sheathing the katana at his side. Yakumo summoned her rapier, earning a curious glance from Genma. Yakumo grinned. "Soon you'll see it up close." "Ready?" Genma asked, slipping a senbin between his teeth. Naruto tightened his grip on his claymore, Ami on her tanto, and Yakumo stood beside him, rapier poised. Genma's smile widened. "Good, let's begin." Meanwhile, Hokage's office. Genma's drawing his sword," Hate remarked, peering through the crystal ball as the Hokage monitored the fight with Tomgain no Jutsu. "That means he's serious now," Yugao said with a small smile. "But I'm more intrigued by Yakumo's weapon, it's exquisite." "Rapier," Hiruzen interjected, surprising them both. "Hokage-sama, have you ever seen a weapon like that before?" Hate asked, curiosity clear in his tone. The elderly ninja chuckled softly. "Not in person. But when I was young, Hashirama-sama showed me some ancient scrolls depicting many foreign weapons. The rapier was among them. Naruto and Yakumo have mentioned it too, though they didn't wield one themselves, at least not until today." Hate studied the weapon in Yakumo's hands. "I wonder why weapons like these aren't more common here. Most likely because they come from the west, beyond the land of earth and the land of wind," the Hokage explained, his eyes still on the crystal ball showing the battle. "From what my teacher said, people from those lands rarely visited here, so our knowledge is limited. And these scrolls predate the Warring States period. Many details must have been lost over countless conflicts." Yugao frowned. "What a shame," she murmured. The rapier was stunning in her eyes. "Well, let's see how they fare against Genma and his Senhari." Meanwhile, training Ground 13, Genma watched his three opponents carefully, analyzing every stance without a twitch. Naruto is physically the strongest here. His weapon proves it, and he's fast, far faster than the others. Ami is quick, too, and her style favors precise, rapid attacks, especially with those wakizashi. And Yakumo, she's tricky. That weapon of hers isn't familiar, but it seems designed for lunges more than simple slashes. I'll need to stay sharp. Without warning, Naruto surged forward, his blade wrapped in Futon chakra, while Ami and Yakumo flanked him. Genma anticipated their tactic, infusing his own blade with Katen chakra, and met Naruto head-on. Their swords locked in a tense standoff, each waiting for the other to falter. Yakumo lunged, forcing Genma to try kicking Naruto away. But Naruto leapt back, avoiding the strike effortlessly. Turning to intercept Yakumo with a horizontal slash, Genma caught her off guard when 3 burning senbin needles shot from the air, piercing her left arm. She cried out, surprised and pained. Even Naruto blinked, shocked. How did he throw those? Both his hands were on his katana. Before he could figure it out, Ami attempted to flank Genma. He turned in time to see 2 copies of her appear, a clever clone jutsu, but with a few rapid strikes, 2 vanished, leaving the real Ami sprawled on the ground with hot needles in her legs. Futon. Furyu no Jutsu. A massive wind dragon surged toward Genma, forcing him to evade quickly. While he dodged, Naruto swept in, helping Yakumo and Ami remove the needles. Looks like Genma avoided hitting vital points, and his Katen chakra cauterized the wounds, Naruto noted. When the dragon dissipated under another Katen attack, he glanced back at Genma, whose gaze was sharp. "I think I've figured out his trick." Genma raised an eyebrow. "Oh. Enlighten me." "The secret's simple," Naruto said, pointing to the katana. "There are seals on that blade." Yakumo and Ami stared at him, stunned. Genma smirked, revealing the hilt. Sure enough, 6 tiny seals adorned the guard. My family isn't from Konoha or even the Land of Fire, Genma explained calmly. My grandfather was a ninja from AIM who relocated here. He taught my father, who taught me, to fight using senbon needles. This katana is a family heirloom, senhari. The seals contain the needles, which release when I attack. By covering the blade with chakra, I mask the seals, so my opponents don't notice where the attack comes from. Yakumo nodded, understanding. Exactly, this trick helps me keep enemies at a safe distance, Genma added, sheathing his sword. That's enough for today. What? Ami groaned, still in pain. Already over. This is a Genin-level test, not a Jonin one, Genma replied lightly. If I were testing a Jonin, I'd have used the katana fully. My goal was to see if you're ready for the path ahead. Naruto excels, no doubt. But you too. He looked at Ami and Yakumo. You're on the right track to becoming outstanding Kunoichi. The girls bowed in gratitude. Hate and Yugo appeared behind them shortly after. Congratulations, you're officially a team now, Yugo smiled. Hate nodded. Tomorrow, be here at the same time, your first mission awaits. Ami, don't be late. After the Jonin vanished, the 3 Genin were left alone. Ami collapsed with a groan. Genma-san is incredibly strong. I think he was holding back, Yakumo said, eyeing her rapier. I didn't even get to use it fully. Don't worry, you'll have your chance, Naruto said, leaning against a tree. Still, it was fun facing him. His style's unique. He hit me and Ami without causing permanent damage, Yakumo added, sealing her rapier on her wrist. He even blocked a senbon from hitting me, Ami groaned. That's Genma-san for you, Naruto said, heading off. Don't overexert yourselves until you've healed. Have a good day. Ami watched him leave. He's strange. What do you mean? Yakumo asked. Sometimes he seems like any normal boy. Other times, he's a veteran ninja with years of experience. It's weird, Ami admitted. Yakumo nodded. She knew Naruto's past. He'd confided in her months ago, asking her to keep it secret. With a sigh, she helped Ami to her feet. How about a little celebration? We're Genin now. I like that idea, Ami smiled, wincing from the needles. But first, the hospital. Yeah, probably a good idea, Yakumo agreed, also wincing. Meanwhile, Naruto walked home, receiving curious glances from villagers. Many women seemed to blush, drawn to his bare chest. You didn't warn them about tomorrow, Kurama teased. No need. They'll find out soon enough, Naruto replied, smirking. I can hear Ami's screams already. She'll be so mad. They'll understand my reasoning. Kurama grinned, we'll see. Next day, Naruto's house, sipping coffee, Naruto glanced at the clock. 10 o'clock, nothing yet. Strange, suddenly a scream rang out. Where is he? A second followed. You're late, Naruto raised an eyebrow. Sakura Haruno. Kurama muttered, her sensei is that scarecrow Kakashi. Still can't understand why he's always late. Another voice boomed. Why-o-o-o-o-u-th? Ah, Rock Lee and Guy Sensei. Not surprising, Naruto mused. Soon, a knock came. He opened the door to see Ami nearly hysterical, Yakumo concerned, and Yugo disapproving. Good morning, Naruto said, bowing slightly. Coffee? Ami twitched. Do you have any idea what time it is? 10 o'clock. Why, you're late for our mission, she shouted. You mean our chore, Naruto replied smoothly. Ami and Yakumo tilted their heads in confusion, while Yugo let out a long sigh. Naruto, I know you don't like these missions, but they're necessary, their Jonin said, eyes fixed on her male student, who merely let out a scoff. D-rank missions? They're just busy work for Genin. Nothing more, nothing less, Naruto replied, glancing at Ami and Yakumo. Have you ever noticed that Genin sometimes get assigned the weirdest tasks? Shopping, painting fences, trimming trees? Ami scratched her cheek thoughtfully. Well, I did see 3 Genin cutting tree branches once, and there was a Jonin watching them. Those were D-rank missions, Naruto said matter-of-factly, shocking Ami. She quickly looked to their sensei, who nodded in agreement. He's right, Ami, Yugo explained with another sigh. D-rank missions are basically chores. They exist to get a team used to working together and building teamwork. Cleaning gardens, delivering packages, mending roofs, fixing fences, the list goes on. What? Those aren't missions, Ami protested, with Yakumo quietly agreeing. They are for the village economy, Naruto said, catching their attention. All missions come from requests, clients needing ninja help. D-rank missions are just villagers' errands they're too lazy to do themselves. But they still count, and the team completing them gets rewarded. Still, they're chores. Yugao rubbed her temples. I get it, Naruto, but you can't just skip to a C-rank mission. You and maybe Yakumo could handle it, but Ami isn't ready yet. If you want a real mission, you'll need to complete 30 D-rank missions first. 30, Ami groaned. She barely managed her own chores at home. How could they expect her to do everyone else's too? Doing them will eat into our training, which I don't like, Naruto admitted, slowly raising his arms. But if we have to Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, a puff of smoke appeared, revealing a perfect clone of Naruto at his side. Ami's eyes widened as she pointed. Hey, that's the jutsu from the Scroll of Seals. How do you know it? Height-sensei taught me. And I'm not the only one, Naruto said, glancing at Yugao, who sighed for the third time. Do you really need clones while we train? Yugao asked. The Hokage might not like it if he found out. I'm sure he'll notice. They use less chakra than the original, Naruto said with crossed arms. So, can we do this or not? Yugao groaned. I have a feeling this is just the start of problems with this team. She couldn't help a small smile. But at least it won't be boring. With that, she created a clone of herself. Ami's jaw dropped when even Yakumo performed the technique. Why, you too? Yakumo scratched her cheek. Yeah, Naruto taught me a while back. I can only make one clone, though that's my limit. That's not fair, so I'm the only one doing the chores. Yugao looked at Naruto, who shrugged, then made a clone that merged with Ami, surprising her. Now you can train with us, Naruto said with a nod. Ami grinned widely. Hell yeah, she shouted, pumping her fist. Do you think I could learn that jutsu? Not yet, Yugao said with a smile. But with practice, maybe someday. Now about those D-rank missions? The clones nodded in unison and disappeared in a shunshin toward the Hokage Tower, while Naruto returned home to prepare himself. Real training was about to begin. 2 weeks later, Hokage's office. Hokage-sama, I think my team is ready for a C-rank mission, Yugao said, looking at their leader, who smiled warmly. You think so? Hiruzen asked, glancing at Uruka. How many D-rank missions have they completed? Let's see, 42, Hokage-sama. They've completed the most of any team so far, Uruka said, flipping through a clipboard. Impressive, especially considering they've been training individually and as a team, Hiruzen said with a low chuckle. He already knew the secret, Naruto's clones, but decided not to interfere. Even if the missions were chores, they were vital for the village economy. We're just efficient, Hokage-sama, Yugao replied seriously. I see. Then I'll assign a C-rank mission, Hiruzen nodded, noticing Ami and Yakumo's excitement. Naruto, of course, remained expressionless. Send in Tazuna. Moments later, a man entered the office. Team Blade had to suppress grimaces at the strong smell of alcohol. He had gray hair, a thick beard, and simple clothing, yet the smell hit them immediately. This is supposed to be my escort. 3 kids and a woman. I understand the woman, she seems reliable, but the others are practically children. Tazuna said, taking a swig from his bottle. You have nothing to worry about, Tazuna-san, Hiruzen said, ignoring the smell. This is the best genin team we have. You're in capable hands. If you say so, Tazuna muttered. Ami's hand twitched toward her tanto. Yugao intercepted her. Yakumo's eyes narrowed in disapproval, and Naruto's gaze froze the old man in place. What the hell are those eyes? Tazuna thought, gulping. Anyway, your job is to escort me to my home in the Land of Waves and protect me while I finish building the bridge to the Land of Fire. All right, team, Yugao said, clapping her hands. Meet me at the south gate in 20 minutes. Bring enough supplies for at least 2 weeks. The 3 genin nodded and left. Yugao turned to Tazuna. And it'd be wise to put the alcohol aside. You need a clear head during the trip for your own safety. Tazuna waved her off. Yeah, geez, you sound like my daughter, and left. Hokage-sama, are you sure? Maybe it's too soon, Uruka asked. Naruto and Yakumo are ready. Ami isn't as strong, but the others will protect her, Hiruzen said, smirking at his mountain of paperwork. Not today, damn beast. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Uruka watched 2 clones of the Hokage work while the real Hiruzen read quietly. I need to learn that jutsu. 2 hours later, road to Land of Waves. You're skilled, but are you sure you brought everything? Tazuna asked. Yakumo raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? You don't have a backpack. Sensei said 2 weeks of supplies, right? Yakumo smiled, pulling a scroll from her pouch. Everything we need is here: food, clothes, a tent, all packed efficiently. Tazuna blinked. Clever, that'll make traveling much easier. Yeah, clever, Ami snorted. Over the past 2 weeks, she had trained intensely: swords, Fuinjutsu basics, and her signature Zanzo Bunshin. Remember, what's easy for us may seem impossible to others, Naruto said, walking at the front, Yugo behind them. Ami grumbled, then asked, Tazuna-san, why come to Konoha for a mission? Don't you have ninja in the land of waves? No, we rely on outsiders when needed, Tazuna explained. Ami nodded, satisfied, but then something caught her eye. A puddle lay across the road about 100 meters ahead. Odd, it hadn't rained in 2 weeks. Yakumo's eyes narrowed, staring at the water as though it were her greatest enemy. Suddenly, her eyes lit up, and the girl turned toward their sensei. Yugao-sensei, I need a short break. Yugao studied her with a serious gaze but gave a slow nod, signaling the group to pause. As Yakumo slipped quietly into the bushes, Tazuna groaned, We only left 2 hours ago and she already needs a bathroom break. She's always had a delicate constitution, Naruto explained, glancing back while keeping an eye on Ami. Her health has improved, but sometimes her body has its limits, moments she can't fight through, so to speak. The purple-haired genin widened her eyes in surprise, then gave a subtle nod. He noticed the puddle too, which means we need to be ready. If there's one thing I've learned in these 2 weeks, it's that look. He only gives it when things are truly serious. Sorry for the delay, Yakumo said, walking back toward them with a faint smile. Yugo acknowledged her with a nod, and the group resumed their journey until they reached the puddle. Nothing happened as they stepped past it, but the moment Yugo was out of its range, the water seemed to ripple unnaturally. From the depths, 2 figures cloaked in darkness emerged. Rebreathers masked their faces, and chains connected to their gauntlets, one on the right arm, the other on the left, clinked ominously. Before the Konoha ninja could react, the assassins lashed their chains around Yugo. A violent tug, and her body was torn apart in an instant, blood spraying across the ground. Ami screamed, frozen in horror as her aunt's lifeless form hit the dirt. Yakumo stood paralyzed, unable to react. Naruto swung his claymore at one of them, but the assassins vaulted over him, redirecting their assault toward Tazuna, who was still exposed. The old man tried to flee but found himself ensnared in the chain, his body shredded in moments. Mission accomplished, one assassin called. Let's move, the other shouted, tossing smoke bombs that engulfed them in a thick, obscuring cloud. They fled, unaware that the blood on their chains slowly dissolved into nothing, along with the remains they thought they left behind. When the smoke cleared, Team Blade and Tazuna stood unharmed in the middle of the road. What just happened? Tazuna stammered, looking at Yakumo. She only smirked. A genjutsu, she said, pointing at the puddle. From a distance, I noticed the puddle hiding those 2. I slipped into the bushes under the pretext of something else and cast an illusion to reveal their position. You did incredible, Yugo said, smiling, making Yakumo blush faintly. Those were the demon brothers, missing Kiri ninja known for assassination. I wonder why they came here and why they aimed for you, Tazuna-san. Feeling the team's eyes on him, Tazuna swallowed nervously. You lied, Naruto said calmly, his gaze icy. They were after you for a reason, and that reason alone could upgrade this mission to B or A rank. Tazuna met each of their eyes before sighing. Yes, you're right. I lied to your Hokage. I needed protection, but not from mere bandits. Someone hired those assassins to kill you, Ami realized, her eyes wide. Holy, their employer must really hate you and be rich enough to pay for this. Mind your language, Yugo hissed, glaring at her niece. Then she turned to Tazuna. Now, tell us everything, every detail. Tazuna hesitated, then recounted the state of his land, Gato's greed and oppression, and how the bridge he was building was the only hope for the land of waves. The 4 ninja listened attentively, exchanging glances once he finished. So, what's our next step? Ami asked, looking at their sensei. Yugo rubbed her forehead, sighing. Tazuna-san, do you understand how dangerous this is? Your lies could have cost my team their lives. Those were Chunin, not common bandits. She shook her head, frustrated. Protocol says we should abort this mission and blacklist your village entirely. Tazuna bit his lip, despairing. It's over, but, Yugo added with a hint of amusement, glancing at the genin, my team doesn't forgive easily, do they? You know us too well, sensei, Yakumo said, smiling. Ami nodded, grinning. People like Gato, Naruto said, his voice cold, are meant to be stopped. They don't deserve mercy. He thought briefly of a certain blonde man in sunglasses and a pink feathered coat. The same way Doflamingo tried and failed, now it's our turn but with no second chances. Then it's decided we continue, Yugo declared. Tazuna's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I promise to repay you all. I know you will, Tazuna-san, Yugo said softly, resting a hand on his shoulder. But remember, if anything happens to my team, worrying about Gato will be the least of your concerns. The old man paled but nodded, realizing how dangerous the path had become. A few hours later, Land of Waves. The mission's complete, boss, Mizu announced, opening the door to their hidden hideout, his brother Gazu trailing behind. A tall man sitting on the bed raised an eyebrow. Really? Yes. The bridge builder and the Jonin protecting him are gone, Mizu replied with a grin behind his mask. They were just 3 kids and a woman. Easy pickings, Gazu added. The man's gaze shifted to a figure in an ANBU mask beside him. Your thoughts, did you clean your weapons? The masked figure asked. No, Gazu replied, kneeling as an invisible pressure knocked him and his brother down. Look at your chains, the man growled. Confused, they obeyed. Every trace of blood had vanished. But we tore them apart, Mizu protested, his brother nodding frantically. The masked figure pressed again. Where did you set the ambush? What tactics? Once the pressure eased, Mizu admitted, we used the puddle genjutsu a few hours outside Konoha to hit them from behind. Immediately, both were knocked to their knees again. You fools. A puddle in the middle of a dry road, the man roared, then turned to the ANBU. Genjutsu? Most likely, the masked figure confirmed. What now? Gato will demand a report. I'll handle him later, the man said darkly. But first, I have a mission that you, he glared at the demon brothers, failed to complete. He walked away, the ANBU disappearing shortly after. Man, he's terrifying, Gazu muttered, exhaling. Yes, I almost pitied those kids, Mizu said with a smirk. Overkill from a former Kiri swordsman figures, Gazu laughed, and Mizu joined in. Now the mission was truly finished. 1 hour later, shore of the Land of Waves. Thank you, truly, Tazuna bowed to a man in a boat. Don't thank me, just make sure the bridge gets completed. Good luck, the man said, guiding his boat away. The group pressed forward through the forest, approaching a nearby lake when thick mist suddenly enveloped them. Whoa, I can't see anything, Ami exclaimed. Strange, fog like this doesn't appear at this hour, Tazuna murmured. Naruto and Yugo narrowed their eyes. The mist was unnatural, infused with chakra, and Naruto sensed a surge of energy ahead. Everyone, get down. In a blur, Naruto slammed Tazuna to the ground, while Yugo shielded Ami and Yakumo just as a bolt of electricity crackled over their heads. Rising, they saw a tall figure a few yards away, someone Yugo instantly recognized. What's he doing here? So you're the team that tricked the demon brothers? The man asked, grinning. Yugo's hand tightened on her katana. To meet someone like him here, I didn't expect that, Naruto said, claymore at the ready. Do you know him? Ami whispered, eyes on the man and the strange twin swords he held. Of course. One of the best swordsmen in all the nations, Naruto said, as electricity danced along the man's blades. Kirigakure no Raijin, Reiga Kurasuki. I hope you're ready for the end of your journey, Reiga said, crossing his blades in front of him. Because I'm about to prepare a funeral just for you.